just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. And do not forget, Wednesday night, we are doing a review of Origin 2. As soon as the game finishes, we will be going live on YouTube. It'll be myself, Mitch Pearce, Timmy, Matty. We'll be trying to call Hammy from the stadium. So on YouTube, we will be live reviewing the entirety of Origin Game 2, going deep, a deep dive into the match and the result, and potentially, if the decide is going to happen, we'll also a little preview into that, also talk about potential selections. That is live after Game 2. As soon as the game finishes, we will be on YouTube. Myself, Mitchell Pearce, will be here as a special guest, Timmy, Matty, and we're calling Hammy in. Boys, Guru, how you been, mate?
Good, mate. Origin week. Super exciting.
Super exciting? Okay, sounds really exciting. Timmy?
Geez, hard act to follow that one. Yeah, I'm good, mate. Pretty low-key weekend. Obviously, it's the 5 NRL games and went out to Campbelltown with Hammy yesterday afternoon, which was a beautiful afternoon for footy. Tough result, and I've decided I'm never going to a game of any sporting event with Hammy again when my team is in the fixture, because last two, it's just gone horribly wrong.
Hammy, speak to me.
Well, I was talking to Timmy in the green room. I said, think about all the Sheffield Shield we're going to miss. That's going to be your new policy. That'll be an absolute tragedy. But one thing I've noticed from Timmy is he's consistent with these sort of events. So Matty might be able to stitch this into the video a little bit later on. But here's
Not again.
Leaving early again.
Leaving with, I think it's about 7 minutes on the clock there.
Mate, game was still in the balance.
All right.
Was there to be won.
As per last time, I apologise for nothing.
Oh, my God.
Secondly, it was, 7 minutes? The timing of it was uncanny, actually. So I walked in our Origin when DC took the intercept and just put the nail in the coffin. When Dewey took the intercept, I just got up and went, catch ya.
One of the great feel-good moments of the weekend, and he goes, no, that's enough for me.
Bloke's had 3 ACLs, 14 months, and you couldn't watch him bloody score a meaty because you're so biased towards your own side.
I watched it on my way walking out.
No, it was a good day after, when we first sat down at the start of the game, Timmy kind of goes, how do you feel? Are you feeling confident? Can you even feel confident about these guys anymore, like when you come to these sort of games?
Wow.
And then I had Trish giving it to me about Benji's coaching credentials as well, so...
Yeah, special guest to the game, Trishy Williams, the old girl. She was out there, so
no way,
she bleeds green.
Tin Heart Timmy talking smack before the game.
Yeah.
Wow, that'll do me. Matty, how you going, brother?
I'm good. Had a good weekend. My
Settle
team's
down,
flying.
son.
What's that?
Settle down. I know it's one of you on the trot.
I'm ready to rip in. I'm ready to rip into the South game.
He just can't wait for South versus... who'd they play again? Manly reserve grade side, that's right. All jokes aside, I can't wait to talk about that either. Great game. Absolute bell ringer of a game.
How's your weekend?
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. See, I appreciate that. My weekend
Queenslander.
See, we stick together. And you understand that I'm a person too. I'm not just the beak, I'm Denon also.
Exactly.
It was great. Spent some time with the little fella yesterday. We took him down to the park. I mean, I spent time with the little fella every day. I'm not an absent father. Little fella did a shit in the bath last night. That was an episode.
Chip off the old block, eh?
Yeah, mate. It's not your last. It's not your last, mate. It was a great weekend. Great weekend. Funnily enough, it's actually the weekend I met my wife 5 or 6 years ago, so that was sweet.
Oh.
We both forgot, if I'm being honest. And I only realised this morning because of a Facebook memory and a few kilos less. I was a few kilos less in that picture, let's just put it that way. I was single. I was in my hot boy phase.
You put the feet up now.
Put a lot up, if I'm being honest. Put a lot up. But anyway, my weekend was good. Also, don't forget, I've said a few times, but just this is a trailer to a trailer. You know how they release like sneak peeks, two sneak peeks? Early September, guys, something big's coming. Well, it's big to me. It's big to me. Put a lot of work into it. Been working on it for like nearly 2 years. It is going to be. I think the people are going to like this. The people are going to get around it.
Bloke Mad Monday?
So?
Is it Bloke Mad Monday? Is that what
Ooh, are you trying to say the Broncos won't make the 8, mate?
No, they won't make the 8.
It's a beak peak.
Hey?
A beak peak.
It's beak peak.
Yeah.
It's peak.
The first of 2 beak peaks.
Absolutely. So the boys, they can't wait. They know what it is. We can't wait. So stay tuned to listen to it. Let's get into it, shall we? Face the Music, brought to you by Sportsbet. Oh, yeah, I'm a bit nervous about this one, actually. This one was a tough one.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Uh-oh.
few sweaty boys sitting opposite me at the moment.
Oh, no.
A few very quiet boys. That's all good. We'll whiz through it. As we know, the punishment at the moment, you've got to tell a joke. If people laugh, you get a bonus point on your score next week. So that's what's up for grabs today.
And don't forget to give us a follow on the feed. Give Hammy a follow on the feed. And brand new podcast. Give me something.
Yeah, very special guest tomorrow ahead of Origin for the preview. The men to my immediate right, the Beak,
That's
will
me.
be joining us. Looking
be there.
forward to it. Big Origin preview. Not your best week on the feed.
A bad week. You know what? I've had 2 bad weeks on the feed, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
2 bad weeks. I got one last week, but it wasn't to write home about.
Yep.
Couple bad weeks, but I'll bounce back.
You
mate.
will.
I'll bounce back.
And you've actually got in early with one Origin bet that I really like. Val Holmes and Latrell to score any time.
Val Holmes, Latrell,
9.20.
anytime. That gets you 9.20.
Yep, I like that.
And I've had that for a little bit too.
Yeah.
So get around it. You can go to my feed, copy it.
Yep. Plenty more coming on your feed and my feed tomorrow ahead of Origin number 2. All right, let's get into this week's games. The first game, Fish 24, defeated by the Storm 30. Denon and Matty had the Storm winning and covering the 3.5 line. They were the only people to take any points away from this game. 2 points on the board for both of you after game number 1. The next game, now this was a massive shock, the next game. Titans 66, defeat the Warriors 6. Now this game was marred with people put on report. We had RTS dangerous throw, Tamare dangerous contact, Jaden Campbell dangerous contact, Neokore dangerous high tackle, and Clarkey grade 3 carry on after the game as well. I think he's fishing for some grand final tickets on the on Instagram there, so he probably just needs to settle down and watch out there. Matty took the underdogs in this game. He got 2 points. Rue, you had the Titans with the start. Everyone else had the Warriors. So slim pickings in that game for the rest of the panel.
Hey, so did we both take the Dolphins to beat the Storm?
You had Storm head-to-head, and then you had Dolphins with the start.
Right. Did we get a point for
So
that?
you got a point.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
a point.
You said no one got a
Yeah,
point.
what's going on here?
What's it doing over there?
Dear, oh dear.
Oh, no.
That's got me in a little bit of a tailspin.
Look, I'll leave it for discussion when we get to the end, but is that worth minus a point that he just tried to rip use off a point?
Miscalculation.
It's minus a point for each of us. It's minus 2 for you.
Yeah, probably is.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
Look, we'll discuss it at the end. We'll discuss it
Yeah.
at the end.
All right, fair point, well made. We move on to the next game. Chooks 26 defeat the Dogs 8. Shout out to Hainsey and the boys for making the trip up in the Chook Pen. Wet Chook Pen this weekend. Plenty of boys coming out of the Chook Pen. No points for Matty, who had the Dogs. 1 point for everyone else who had the Chooks head-to-head, but the Dogs covering the 9.5, which they didn't do. So a point for most of the panel there, apart from Matty. Souths 14 defeat Manly 0. Genuine contender for biggest poo slinger of the game of the year. More on that one a little bit later. Everyone got at least 1 point in this game. Denon and Timmy and Matty, you get 2 points because you had the Bunnies winning and covering. Myself and Roo, we had Manly covering, which was not the case. Last game, one of the games of the year, this one. Tigers 48 defeat the Milk 24. Matty and myself took the Tigers head-to-head, so we get 2 points. Timmy had the Tigers with the start, 1 point. Roo and Kempy had the Raiders winning and covering. Not your best there. All right, so I'm not exactly sure where this finishes because my maths hasn't been quick enough, but if it makes anyone feel better, I think I'll lose anyway this week. So what I had here was Matty 8 points, Denon 5 points, myself and Timmy 4 points. Roo had 3, but you got +1 for the gag last week. But I've obviously mucked up the score, so I've taken 2 points off my score.
What were you without the 2 points?
I was 4. We had a 3-way split anyway. We've heard from these boys with a joke, so we're probably due to mix it up anyway.
Okay, but it's democracy. Do we agree he should lose a point for the stuff up earlier? Hands up if you agree he should lose a point.
I think he definitely.
He has one job and he screwed it up.
Yeah, I only had 5 games this week as well.
Okay, so Matty, you don't think it's
Oh, no, I do. I just don't have a camera, so I didn't.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll still need to see whether you... Okay, look,
Yep.
there you go.
All right, without further ado.
People have spoken.
People have spoken, so
Yeah, I
I'll
think
be
you
telling...
screwed up my score as well, so that's almost another one. But
Mate, you didn't lose. Just relax, all right? Unlike the Raiders.
Ooh.
well, you had us on equal 4, so in theory I did.
Wrecked. All right, let's do it. I'm going to keep it... I'll keep it short and sharp, a bit like my bowling today. What happened to the blind circumcisionist? He got the sack. That is Face the Music.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
There you go. Eh? I mean, I think a point for next week for that one.
Yeah, definitely.
I think a point for that one. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go. That's Face the Music, brought to you by Sportsbet. As always, a massive thank you to Sportsbet for partnering with the show. And look, it's around Origin time. If you're going to have a punt, you do it with Sportsbet. Best in the business. Head over to the feed, an incredible feature. Give us a follow and check out all the... If you go to NRL and you go to NRL Hub Weekly,
Yep.
some of the multis on there are just chef's kiss.
They
Chef's
are.
kiss.
Big prices on some of them as well.
So get into your app, have a little explore. There's also got some Origin specials there as well.
Yeah, there is. Obviously, we'll put some Origin tips in a little bit later in the show. New thing that we're trying, we've rolled out this year, you can actually multi your Origin player of the match into your same game multi as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later in the show.
Well, there you go. Face the Music brought to you by Sportsbet. You win some, but you lose more. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys. Okay, now let's get into Team of the Week. Also, if you just want to put your little shekels aside, late July, so about 4 weeks, there might be something dropping soon. Let's just put it that way. So put your little shekels aside. About a month away, another drop will be potentially happening. All right, Team of the Week, Bloke Beers, Team of the Week. Make sure to grab a case of Bloke Beer. It's a beer for blokes to turn up for family, mates, and good times. Aussie spirit in a can. All right, at fullback, Bloke Beer, Team of the Week. It's Kinney. At 2, it's Warbrick. At 3, Adam Dewey. What a return. At 4, Kiraz. At 5, Khan Pereira. At 5, Khan Pereira. At 6, Jaden Campbell. Record points for the Titans. At 7, hotly contested field this. We all had different answers, but we went with the old dog, Kieran Foran. He was outstanding in attack and defence, and he was instrumental in a record win for the Gold Coast Titans. At special mention, we'll get to it, but a special mention, Sam Walker, Jerome Hughes. At 8 and 10, Terrell May and Clark. We've moved Clark from 13 to 10. We thought Aaron Clark for the Titans was outstanding, and Terrell May, very, very close to Player of the Week. I tell you what, if New South Wales lose Game 2, surely you consider bringing the big fella into the squad, at the very least for Game 3.
There's a few guys in our Team of the Week that I think will come into contention for the Blues.
At 9, Api Coruscant. So our edge back row is at 11 and 12, Afenu and David Fofoida.
Fofoida. I can't believe it.
At 13, Keon Kalamatangi, which I think it's 4 weeks in a row. 4 weeks in a row.
4-peat.
He's got the 4-peat. At 14, Lockie Galvin. 15, Sam Walker. 16, Hughes. And 17, Jared Woodera-Hargreaves. So, look, that bench is a small bench, but we just could not leave the halves off. Galvin, Walker, Hughes were absolutely outstanding, but we just thought the Campbell-Foran combination leading the Titans to a record victory got them across the line. Now, so that's your Bloke Beer Team of the Week. Let's get into your hungriest player, brought to you by Menulog. Guys, if you order food to your house, download the Menulog app. Get familiar with it because you get the discounts every single week. This week's hungriest player is Jaden Campbell. That's right. Use code Campbell, CAMPBELL, for free delivery this week. That's right, gets to your door for free. They got to travel all the way from the store to your door for free if you use code Campbell. Jaden Campbell, hungriest player of the week. I tell you what, look, I'm going to need to see plenty more games with him at 6. I'm still have questions, obviously, around the defensive side of things. But I tell you what, if he can ease into the game as a 6 like that, he's attacking-wise, he could be the most dangerous 6 in the competition. He was absolutely electric. And he had everything. He had the kicking game, he had the passing game, he had the footwork. As I said, if somehow, some way, they can make sure that defensively he doesn't need to be great, doesn't need to be the best in the world, but just does his job, you're looking at one of the most dangerous 6s in the competition.
There's not many guys in the competition that can do the stuff that he can do. And he's one of the few players in the comp. Whenever he gets the ball, I have no idea what he's going to do. He can just beat you in so many ways. Is he a New South Welshman or a Queenslander? Is he?
Ooh, I think he grew up on the Gold Coast. Because his dad would have been there, obviously, when he was younger.
I'll tell you what else. Like I've seen him goal kick before. I didn't see a world where he's going to come up with 11 from 11.
Mate, I just think that because he's had a few injuries here or there, but because we've always been arguing about, is Brimo, is Campbell the fullback? Again, he's one of those guys, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to the Titans because they're a small club. That's just a fact of life. Their good players don't get the raps they usually deserve. And I think a lot of the wider audience of rugby league, although they're aware of Campbell, I don't think they're aware of just how high-end his attacking ability is.
So Campbell was born in Cronulla but moved to Gold Coast age 6, but he's confirmed he's a Queenslander.
He's a Queenslander?
Yeah.
You can have him.
Yeah, sweet.
We can have him?
Yeah, we don't want him.
Oh, wow.
That's the attitude.
Okay.
Born in Cronulla but might move to Queensland. Remind you of anyone's son that you might know?
Young Rain might follow in the footsteps. He is actually my nephew's favourite player. And he did a really nice thing as well. Around Christmas, I just messaged him on because I found out that my nephew, he was his favourite player. So I mentioned, hey, mate, could you just make a little video? And I don't normally do that because I know it's annoying. And he was like, yeah, straight away did it. And my nephew was in tears of joy. So thank you, Jaden Campbell, for that. I'll always remember that for sure.
Yeah, he's a New South Welshman at heart. Good fella. Good on him.
Wow. So all of a sudden you want him again because he's a good bloke.
No, we don't want him. If he doesn't want to be a blue, he can go.
Yeah,
but
catch
it's just
up.
another one to the list.
What about Luke Keary?
Luke Keary?
No comment.
Timmy, thoughts on his performance and his ability?
Jonathan Thurston played for the Blues, and you're going to throw that out there, mate. Please.
Bro, Sterling bloody played for New South Wales. Come on. Bit of hypocrisy here, boys. Jeez Louise.
Jaden Campbell, the reality is with halves in the NRL, most of them are a defensive liability. Give or take a handful, Kieran Foran, Dylan Brown, some of the best in the comp, but most of them, I look at the Titans in Isaiah Katoa, Cody Nikorima. As long as you said, Kempy, if you can just be a decent defensive half and hold his own, there's going to be times where he's going to get run over because he's a smaller body. But if what he can do in attack can outweigh any sort of defensive lapses that he might have, maybe there is a future for him in the halves. Again, as you said, I'll need to see a lot more from him defensively to convince me that he can defend in the front line. But with his immense attacking upside, it's possible.
Because, you look at his skill set, what other six can do what he does? There may be other sixes that are better than him at this stage, but his unique attacking skill set, I'm just trying, off the top of my head, when I think of all the six in the competition, everyone has not everyone, but a lot of players have a unique skill set, like Munster, very rogue, can do it. But when we're talking about speed and footwork and ability just to beat tackles, he's up there with the best. Genuinely has a unique ability to do that. So if they can, the problem is you don't want to put too much muscle mass on him because then he loses that. And so it's just going to be, and then also when Brimo comes back, you got Kinney that's killed it. We'll talk about it later. They've got to sort this. I don't know how they do it. It's funny. I think even Brimo put up a post saying, looks like I'm playing centres when I return. He's incredible. He's electric. And I just want to see Campbell on the field playing first grade as much as possible. He is not a reserve grader. Same with Kinney and obviously same with Brimo. Brimo's an origin player, really. All three guys, the more they're on the footy field, the better for rugby league in NRL. They should not be playing in Queensland and New South Wales Cup. And Campbell at 6, if he can sort that out, his highlight reel will be unbelievable.
It's one of those situations where the three of them are fitting them in. It almost feels like you can't get it wrong. You're not sure what's going to be the most right situation almost. What's going to be the best fit. Because they're just the way that Keeney's played over the last few weeks, I'd argue he's been the form fullback of the comp in the last month.
Well,
he's been unbelievable.
He's team of the week for the last 2 weeks, I think. Or at the very least, he's been in conversations. He had a bit of a quiet start to the year. Ever since he came back, I think it was a Warriors game, he's been electric.
He's lit it up.
You cannot drop Kinney on the current form. Not a chance.
How could you?
When they're all available, Kinney has to be fullback. And as you said with Brimo, can you imagine if we came full circle and he ended up back at centre?
Which is crazy to think because we were whenever he's in this side, he has to be fullback. Yeah. And his resume is still much better than both Kinney and Campbell. So I could understand to a degree if he just said, look, sorry, Kinney, you've played incredible, but Brimo's an origin level fullback. But at the same time, it's he's been one of the best players in the competition.
They've got a bye next week. Brimo probably available following that. What's your 1-6?
I put him in the centres. Just because...
Yeah, I don't think it's a can you imagine job. I think he's destined to play in the centres, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, we were the ones on this panel, though, saying that he can't play centres.
For sure, yeah.
But I think that, since Kinney has come back, it's just a matter of, look, if you keep playing like this, you keep the jersey. As soon as your form drops a little bit, obviously Brimo comes back.
It was unbelievable on the weekend, Jaden Campbell. He's been good for a few weeks. He doesn't choose his opposition, but the opposition has been very poor. I'm probably still going Brimo at 5'8". I still think he's wasted at centre. and I think I'm playing Jaden Campbell off the bench, which is what they ran last year at phases in periods, I believe. It's so hard, but I still think off that one game sample, I'm just like, I think Brimmo at 5'8" is still the option.
See, I give Campbell another crack at the 6 jersey, because this is the only way you're going to fit all 3 in. Whereas if you bring in Brimmo straight away and you put him in, look, let's be honest. Like the Titans season, it's pretty much over. Like they can't make. Well, technically they might be able to make the 8, but they're in a position where they can afford to test things to a degree.
Yeah.
And so I just think Brimmo at the moment is my starting 6. Like if I'm going into a grand final next week, I'm probably putting Brimmo there. But the only way you fit all 3 in is with Brimmo at centre, Campbell at 6, Kinney at 1. So I'm giving Campbell another opportunity at 6. As soon as he gets either found out or doesn't play well, I'm putting Brimmo straight back in there.
Yes, the only way to fit him into the starting team, but Campbell can come off the bench and play a prominent role for this team.
I just think he's too good to sit on the bench. I just think you've got to have him on the field for 80 minutes.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a guy that was actually totally against this. Like, even a few weeks ago, I was saying Campbell's not a 6. I just think that the potential of what he could become if his defence is solid is so hectic. And the potential of what this team can become if Brimmo, Kinney and Campbell all play to as well as they can in the starting side is pretty impressive. So what about you? Would you Brimmo on the centres?
Yeah, I'd play Brimmo on the centres. The other thing I don't love about Campbell, and I'm not quite sure why they've done it, but I don't like that they've moved Foran away from Dave Fafita either. I feel like it's like, I know he still had a great game for Fafita, but I do feel like he looks a little bit more lost to me without Fafita there.
What would you do?
Well, I think he's probably going to end up back in the centres for the reasons you guys just said. I was listening to Matty Johns last night. He was throwing out the option of him maybe playing as like a 13, a bit more of a ball-playing 13.
As in Brimmo?
Yeah, Brimmo.
Oh, okay.
Or even bringing him off the bench, which I think would be probably a bit of a waste. But bringing him off and just getting him on to, do a bit of ball-playing and roam around a little bit.
The tough thing is Brimmo is still the best player over all 3. Yep. Like all 3 people, Brimmo's the best player. But he has the, I guess, the curse of he can play anywhere in the back line and potentially somewhere in there. So, like, if you're trying to get all 3 on, he's the one that has to make way because he can play other positions.
And I feel very confident saying not only is Brimmo the best player, he's the best fullback out of all of them, in my opinion.
Yep, agreed.
But where are you going to fit them all? Like, the only thing I worry about Brimson at 13 is I don't know if his body's going to be able to hold up at 13.
Man, I don't know. I'd put it this way. I think I'd give Campbell the opportunity to lose the jersey. So I'd be like, I'm going to give you the jersey, this shot for this next game. It's going to genuinely be game by game. If it looks like, okay, Brimmo, like Campbell's not, doing his job or it's not working out, I put Brimmo back at 6, and then it's really between Kinney and Campbell for that fullback position. You can't take Kinney out at the moment. I put Campbell probably on the bench if he can't take 6 and try and work it out that way. If we can't work it out that way, that's when I go, mate, you're too good to be playing Q Cup. You need to go and play.
For round 18, and let's say Brimmo does come back, and it's his first game back from it's a hammy injury again, isn't it? Pretty sure.
Groin, I think.
Groin. Easing him back. I'm happy to see them do that and let the other 2 shoot it out while they get just a few Ks under the belt for Brimmo and just say, all right, lesser workload, get your body right. But longer term, I want to see him back to 5'8" or fullback. Well, I want Kinney at fullback and what we've seen, so I want him 5'8" sooner rather than later. But short term, it can make sense.
On the bright side, they've got the Wallabies 5'8" arriving next year, so that'll make
it
6
easier.
Conversation even
Jeez.
more wild.
Yeah, very strange situation. Either way, you can't go wrong, whether it's Brimmo or Campbell at 6. But yeah, in my opinion, Campbell is far too good of an NRL player to be sitting on the bench or playing New South Wales.
I wonder, again, being very speculative here, but with the Wallabies fly half coming over, I don't know what their contract situation is with them all, but if one of them is already on the way out.
Well, I think Brimmo just signed an extension to 2030 or something like that.
Kinney and Campbell?
Unsure what the contract situation there is.
I could use Kinney, and I'm not putting the boots in. Raiders.
But Chevy Stewart killed it for New South Wales Cup.
That's true.
So
maybe not.
Sorry for under-19s New South Wales.
This problem not going away anytime soon. Brimmo 2030, the other 2 26.
Jeez.
So they've got to make it. They're clearly committed to making it work, which sucks for Brimmo because Brimmo's the one that gets pushed around, really.
You wonder what the Wallabies fly half's coming in thinking, where he's going to slot in with all those blokes.
Do they think it's 7?
Well, that's the other little burning issue in the background that we're sort of distracted by when Foz does go. Who's going to be
Foz hasn't re-signed for next year, has he?
I don't think so. So, You can have all those stars you want, but if you don't have the halfback.
So they're really banking on, it sounds like they're banking on the fly half to be their 7, which is like, holy, that's risky. I mean, it's not like Gold Coast Titans have been risky around the 7 jersey before, done anything like that.
Oh, man, they're only signing more young 7s too. There's a few more they've signed over the last few weeks. So
okay, so our hungriest player is Jaden Campbell. Absolutely incredible game. Use code Campbell for free delivery. Brought to you by Menulog. As always, a massive thank you to Menulog for partnering with the show. And if you're going to order food to your house, you use Menulog. Support people that support us, guys. Alrighty, let's get into it. Origin 2 preview. Everyone knows the team, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so some stats from game 1. Possession. New South Wales had 52% of possession compared to Queensland's 48%. Territory. New South Wales 61% compared to 39%. And that's why I kind of kept saying in the review, like, I know people go, okay, when the man went off, there was no chance to win. But, like, I kind of disagree even more now when I look at the stats. Like, there was a chance to win this match. Like, 61%. It would have been an incredible victory. And that chance only came because I felt New South Wales really ripped and teared and did what they were selected to do, which was to win field position. So 61% compared to 39% field position. In regards to territory in the first half, New South Wales 74% compared to Queensland's 26%. In the second half, it evened up a little bit. It was territory Queensland 52% to New South Wales 48%. So you looked at that period where Michael Maguire really used up his interchange, and almost you were kind of going, wow, he's making a lot of interchanges in this last 10 minutes before half time. I think his hope was, look, hopefully we can just score a bunch of points now and then just hold on. And I guess that is where the game was won for Queensland, is the fact that they just held on for that 20 minutes or so and maybe 5 or 10 minutes after half time. In regards to other stuff, we've got plenty of stats here, guys, but I'd love to get your thoughts, your feelings heading into game 2. Are you getting more confident as each day rolls by, less confidence? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I've been getting more and more confident each day, but I went back and watched game 1 the other day, and you know, all these stats speak to it perfectly. Like, we had the man sent off, and I feel like it just made us bite down on our mouth guard and really go at it. Watching it back, like, you guys just did the opposite. It's almost like Queensland sort of just were waiting for the win to come. Sort of
Played
like,
poorly.
You guys played terribly.
I know, and that's what Billy said up. I mean, everyone said after the game, we actually didn't play well.
Yeah, and like we all said that after the game. When I was rewatching it the other day, like, you guys played horribly.
Yeah. And
I can't see a Slater side doing that 2 times in a row. And I think we've seen it in the NRL as well. You know, when you get a player sent off or sim in and whatnot, like sometimes it can have like the opposite effect to what you sort of expect to. And I kind of think it lent you guys away from playing the actual game that you went out there trying to play. So I just think the changes we've made for this game, I'm reasonably confident. I love our forward pack. I think the bench looks a lot better. We've got a player like Latrell out there who, you know, there's positives and negatives, but the positive that we know is that you can get the football to him at any given point. You don't even have to do that much. You just have to get early ball to him. And Latrell can win this game of football for us. So I like the matchup against Val Holmes for him. I am still worried about them, you know, just getting him into marker and just tiring him out all night. But it's a risk that I'm willing to take for what Latrell can do in attack.
Timmy?
Yeah, I feel really good as a Blues supporter. We've got the side essentially that we wanted for game 1. Dylan Edwards coming back in, initially selected there. You've got Cam Murray coming in as a 13, who I think's, you know, top 2 to 3 locks in the game. Looked pretty good in his return from injury as well. And I just think the whole squad's so balanced. We've spoken at nauseam about Latrell Mitchell and the impact that he's going to have on this team, but I assume he'll come in on the left edge, which puts Stephen Crichton on the right. And you know, our preview to game 1 that we spoke about was we thought that was the corridor defensively that Queensland would go straight at. It was, you know, Nicho Hines there and Suoliti and Lomax. We've now got Mitch Moses there, who's a far better defender, in my opinion, than Nicho Hines. You've got Stephen Crichton on that edge, who I think is probably the best defensive centre in the game. So that edge locks down so much better. Everything about this team, I love the way it looks. I think, you know, playing for our lives, I think potentially there's going to be a little bit more desperation from the Blues. Origin Arena, Queensland playing for a series, probably Queenslanders would laugh at that, but it is what it is. We have to win this game. And, yeah, I think they're placed quite well for all the reasons with those stats you said before, and granted Queensland didn't play their best. for the Blues to do that with 12 players and what they would have taken out of doing that with 12 players, I think they're going to go into this with a reasonable amount of confidence.
Hammy, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think, as a Queensland fan, I think the New South Wales side they put together looks a little bit more dangerous. Probably a few more things to worry about there. Obviously, Latrell's the big one that, we've spoken about quite a little bit. I think their bench is a lot better balanced with Connor Watson there. I think you can really see how he's going to come into the game. Probably last game, going into that, we thought there's a few players, what role do these guys play and when are they going to come on? It makes a lot more sense and a lot more balance, this one for me. Cam Murray, a big inclusion as well. So, look, I think they're going to be. It's going to be a lot closer this game. I can tell you from a betting perspective as well. New South Wales easily the best back. We're holding about 4 times as much on the Blues as the Maroons, and they've come in from $2.40 to the sides of both $1.90 now. So the punters are pretty confident they bounce back as well.
Yeah, Matty, how you feeling, mate?
Yeah, I'm feeling confident enough. I think that every position that that New South Wales have kind of replaced attacking wise has been an upgrade. For example, Latrell's come in for Suaalii, Cam Murray's coming for McInnes. We've got Connor Watson coming on the bench, even Mitch Moses to an extent. So whilst we've added all those players, I don't think we've lost anything in defence. So I'm really, really happy with the team. Obviously, game one was a tough one because it was 13-12, so who knows what would have happened. So I'm really, really interested to see how this team performs in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the New South Wales side is a better side. I do think it's interesting that Connor Watson is a utility. Both coaches have done similar things where they've almost... Okay, so it was a 4-forward bench for game 1 for New South Wales, and then they've brought in Connor Watson after not being injured. And what's surprising is, so because Connor Watson was injured for game 1, you go, well, why wasn't another utility picked in that 14 jersey? If Connor's not ready, why change your whole game plan just because Connor's not ready? He gets brought in. And similar with Billy Slater, because Selwyn Cobbo's not available, he also has done something different and not brought an outside back in at 17. And so I just wonder, because a single player from either side isn't available, it looks like an entire game plan has changed. And I find that hard to understand.
There will never be a series with more interest around the bench.
Yeah, it is.
It's bizarre.
I'd love to get the thought process, because this single person wasn't available, the whole game plan changes. And look, the only thing I can think of is with the Selwyn Cobbo situation, it was because he had played lock growing up and Billy genuinely saw him as a forward to come on and rip and tear through the middle. And then in regards to Madge, the only thing I can think of is he sees him as a genuine forward, I guess, and that just happens to also be able to play a bunch of other positions. But we'll get into it. What I don't understand is I don't see how you can play Connor Watson at 13 when you've got Trbojevic, Yeo, Murray in the side. Surely he comes on at 9 for a 20-minute stint to rest Robson. We'll get into it. In regard to how I'm feeling about knowing us, it's all good. No, all jokes aside. Look, I'm very nervous, and I think it's the desperation that I am concerned about that New South Wales are going to show. They're playing for their series, but also they're not just playing for the series. They're playing for if Queensland go 3 in a row with a side that it's a bloody good side, but this side wasn't a bloody good side in the first year. And what I mean by bloody good, I'm talking about if you had said this side 2 years ago was about to go 3 in a row, you would be like, no, look at the gut. Look at New South Wales. These are fairly matched sides. This is a fairly matched sides. If anything, New South Wales probably have, on paper, a little bit of a better side across the board. And so I think New South Wales are sitting there going, this isn't 3 in a row loss against the greatest side of all time in Cam Smith and Cooper Cronk and Thurston. This is this is potentially a 3 in a row loss against a very good Queensland side, but on paper, you wouldn't sit there and go, they're so much better than New South Wales. So I think New South Wales can kind of feel that. This isn't just a loss against the greatest side of all time. This will be a 3 in a row loss if they do lose game 2 to a side that, only 3-4 years ago it was supposed to be a New South Wales dynasty. And I'm not saying this to be a dick. I'm just, speaking what I feel like was the environment at the time. I mean, we had huge pundits saying that they were worried about Queensland's future. And so I think that if New South Wales are to lose this game, that's huge concerns for New South Wales Rugby League in general to go 3 in a row against a Queensland side that aren't necessarily that much better on paper. So I do feel that just the feeling I get with the fans that I hear them talking and Madge and the players, I feel like New South Wales are really starting to understand the situation that they're in right now. Like there's a genuine feel of like, oh shit, like I don't want to say get it. New South Wales get it. That's obviously just a piss take, but it feels like they're genuinely in origin mode now. Like, you know, like a genuine, it just feels like do or die right now for New South Wales, because if it goes 3 in a row, it'd be, you know, devastating. On the flip side of that though, so I am very nervous. I'm worried about how passionate Madge seems to have got the boys. They seem very tight-knit and they're playing for their lives almost. On the flip side of that, the concern I have against New South Wales is as a footy team playing together, I don't think they're as good as the Queensland side. They may be on paper individually. You could, you know, go, okay, individually on paper they're better. But as a team, I don't think they've got anywhere near the smoothness that Queensland have, because Queensland have had the benefit of playing together now for a few years. And my concern for New South Wales is if it clicks for Queensland, I just don't see how they can go with them.
I don't think that's unfair. I think Queensland are just in sync, and they have been for a number of years. You know exactly what you're going to get out of Queensland. Everyone there knows their exact role. I think for New South Wales, you know, and take Connor Watson for an example, I assume it will be 20 minutes at hooker, because you're right, if they have to put him on in the 13 jersey, it is going to be really interesting to see how it all works out. In saying that, you know, Cam Murray's only played, one game of footy in the last few months, Matty? Two. So...
No, one, I think.
One.
One game back from injury.
He's only one game back from injury.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true. Sorry. Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe he does come on and play a bit of 13. I'm not too sure how. I'm really happy with the side we've got, but you are right, mate. Like, this is just...
It's
Queensland are putting on a pair of old gloves. They know exactly what to do, how to go about it. The big thing for me, mate, you said, like, a bit of pressure on New South Wales. Like, and I know we've got our injuries, 100%. Cleary, Turbo. Fuck, if we go 0-2 in a series without Cam Munster... Fuck, that's going to hurt.
Oh, mate. And that's I get the feeling that New South Wales are understanding the gravity of the situation. And so it's a compliment. And I'm not suggesting that, you know, they didn't turn up in years before, but this isn't like the start of, you know, Queensland just winning this first series. There were 3 in, and also Munster is gone, and also we've got a new coach, new system. Like, it'll be devastating 0-2.
Yeah. The thing that stands out to me and my concern, and where Queenslanders have such a big edge for me, it's just Daly Cherry Evans. You know, we speak about him each and every week around at club level, and how he just seems to get better every single game. And you've just got this super experienced representative player who's done it in big games for so long. He's got such a cool head. And as excited as I am to see Mitchy Moses come in and see what he can do, he's not Cherry Evans. He doesn't have the origin experience, the confidence of Daly Cherry Evans, and he just knows how to win these big games, and that is just such a substantial difference in these lineups to me.
Well, I genuinely feel if we had a rookie, not even a rookie 7, but a 7 that's not DCE, I reckon he's win game 1. Like, DCE is probably one of the only 7s that has enough Origins experience in the halves to understand that we're playing, like Queensland were playing poorly. He could have got rattled, started panicking, but he just stayed calm, nails that 40-20, just keeps him in the game, and then eventually we get the job done.
Yeah, I don't know if we would have won game 1, but you wouldn't be going for 3 in a row. No way without Ches.
I just think that game 1, as a Queenslander, I was sitting there going, fuck, this might be a famous victory for New South Wales. When there was that 20-minute period where you were just completely dominating us, I just think Cherry Evans' calmness, if we had a 7 that wasn't as calm as Cherry, like, he would have started trying to wing the ball, doing crazy stuff. So, yeah, I really felt that he was the difference in game 1. When we're playing poorly, he made the right decisions to keep us in the game long enough to win that last 10 minutes. But, yeah, so, look, I think that New South Wales understand the gravity of the situation. That's what concerns me as a Queenslander, that they are genuinely playing for their lives. Whereas I get worried when I see how poorly Queensland played in game 1, that they kind of almost like, look, we'll just wait to get to Suncorp. We'll just wait till we get to Suncorp, which you can't do that in Origin. I know that's a bad record in... I know New South Wales have a bad record in Suncorp, but like, records are made to be broken. Like, you don't think that New South Wales can't have a Queensland moment like they did in 2018. Like, they can have a Queensland moment, air quotations. They can do that. Like, it's not impossible. I don't understand the thinking that, you know, they can't win in Suncorp. I get the statistically, but this is Origin. Like, fuck, write them off at your own peril, in my opinion. Yeah,
no, I'm with you, mate. It's the desperation factor, and there's no there's no measure of it. There's no statistic that you can say. It's just the more and more sport I watch, it doesn't have to be rugby league, but when teams get belted or when a team's backs against the wall, for one game they can get up with desperation and that will to win. And as you said, of course the Maroons are going to have it. They want nothing more than to come out and get this done in 2 games. But the back of their mind, they know worst case they lose, they go to Suncorp and they can win up there in front of their friends. The Blues don't have that. It's all this or nothing.
Yep. So, yeah, it's going to be a cracking clash. I cannot wait. What I'm excited for as a league fan is I'm excited to see New South Wales in this new era without someone being sent off. Like, I'm excited to see, like, what is the best version of this new era of Michael Maguire leading this side? Because I know the scoreline suggested, it was a big win from Queensland. I am still of the mind that there was a lot of good things to take away from that New South Wales game. Like, I thought they showed tons of grit and determination. Like, you look at these stats, like, they had a man down and missed tackles. They only missed 4 more tackles in Queensland. Like, that's incredible.
It's when we talk about like desperation and like trying, again, you can't really quantify it, but it's just things like Kempy. When you know you have to win this game, you might run 1% harder, or you might see Reece Walsh take off on the other side of the field and you know he's going to score, but you just go, no, we have to win. You take off and he doesn't score under the post, and you chase 100 metres just to gash yourself, just to stop him scoring under the post for that conversion. You might put 1% more intensity into your defence, into your hitting, into your cover, your scramble, whatever it might be. Whereas if it's not all or nothing, do you have that extra 1%? Not necessarily.
So that's the way I see it is this. If Queensland complete at over 85% completion, I think New South Wales struggle to go with them because of their slick ball playing, because of their ability to move the ball around. But if it's a dogfight in Melbourne, I think New South Wales probably can just get the job done, like a very tight match because of the desperation. Okay, let's get into game plans. We'll start with New South Wales. So we'll talk about it. Connor Watson off the bench. I'm really intrigued to see what they do there. Granted, Cam Murray has played only 1 game. So you've got Isaiah Yeo, but then also you've got Spencer Lenu as well. That is an out-and-out front rower. It really just depends on, does Michael Maguire see Isaiah Yeo as an out-and-out front rower? And if that is the case, then we'll probably see much less ball playing from Isaiah Yeo, and it's going to be Connor Watson can ball play, but I haven't, at the Roosters, he's more just like quick ruck speed through the middle when he plays 13. The only way I see him playing time at 13 is if they see Isaiah as a front row. What do you reckon, boys?
I think they do see Isaiah Yeo as a front row forward. That's how I'd be approaching this. So I'm expecting Cam Murray, 55, 60 minutes?
Yeah, I reckon about 55 minutes. Probably 50 minutes in his first game. Like, he has... In saying that, you can't be taking a bloke in where you think he's undercooked. He's either ready or he's not ready.
Yeah. To be completely honest, I'm not sure how this is all going to play out with Connor Watson. I'm expecting him to play 20 minutes at lock, but even if not, mate, I still think he'll be so handy to have. Like, Reece Robson can do 80 and he was tremendous in game 1, but it'd just be a huge advantage to bring someone on with leg speed through dummy half there.
Well, I think, like, Reece Robson was outstanding game 1, but I don't recall much of the running game in game 1, but that's because he has to conserve his energy if he's playing 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas if Connor Watson is going to come on, he can go, I can just go hard for 25, 30.
And I think just to clarify for listeners out there that we often speak about front rowers and lock forwards, they're middle forwards, and they all play such a similar role these days. Particularly at a club like the Raiders where we don't... We've got a ball-playing lock, but we're bigger bodies, very different sort of style. When you boys are talking about, like, does Isaiah Yeo play lock? Does he play front row? You're coming on as middle forward, but what you're saying is, does he come on and play that ball playing? Is he the link man between the halves and the dummy half? Or does he play a prop where he doesn't worry about passing, it's just go middle, go, go, go?
Yeah, which is... It has been a complaint that I've seen from a lot of New South Wales fans. They don't like his ball playing in Origin. So maybe Michael Maguire is of the same mind. It's like, you know what? In Origin, I just need you bending the line. Don't worry about the ball playing. And Connor Watson can take care of that. It's a big ask for Connor Watson to come on in the heat of battle and be the link man. Maybe you do it, maybe not, but it's a big ask.
Yeah, and I'm, even that 20 minutes he is on, I'm not sure if he will be like a play that normal link man sort of role. Like, I think the best thing about Connor Watson's game is just his running game.
Do you reckon Reece Robson pops out and stays on the field?
Potentially. Yeah, it could just be a 20-minute period where you just see Mitch Moses take full control and they just let Connor go out there and run, which I'd be okay with.
Do you think they're going to allow Luai and Moses to swing either side?
I really hope so.
Surely Moses can swing both
Especially when
sides.
you got Dylan Edwards, who, traditionally only plays on the right side of the ruck. He doesn't play a heap down the left-hand side. I think it just makes sense.
I don't think Luai will play both sides. I think you'll find Mitch Moses will spend some time sweeping to the left. As you said, Edwards, not to say he can't play left, he definitely can, but at club level, he's always just been a right side specialist. I think you'll see probably Mitchy Moses sweeping to the left and linking up with Luai a little bit. I think Luai stays on the left.
Because the first game, if we remember, Nico Hines sat on that right. He did not come to the left side essentially at all, and it looked like a directive. It was surprising to all of us.
I think the fullback
Changes it.
Yeah.
So you think that Madge was sitting there going, look, Teddy is he's a leader. He's so dominant. Allow him to kind of
Teddy's
move everywhere.
always going to play both sides, right? You're not going to say Teddy stick to one side. Dylan Edwards is different.
Okay. What do you reckon? Connor Watson, Hammy? Where do you play him?
Yeah, well, I reckon probably that option to come in at number 9, and maybe they look to leave Robson out there as well, but just give him a bit of a rest. I just think his biggest asset that he's had for the Roosters this year has been coming on, just getting it, picking and going at dummy half. So I reckon that might be the way that they look to use him. The good thing about him, though, is you've got cover with, I don't know, if Murray, he's only played one game, so if he needs a bit of a break, you've got the option to kind of throw him on to play there as well. I don't think they're going to put Yo at 13 just for the reason that you guys have said. They've had a couple of series where they've had a crack with him in there as the link man. I think he's probably just in there, if everyone stays fit, just as a front rower for this game. But yeah, I think Watson probably comes on, maybe gives Robson a little bit of a break, but he's got a few options there.
I mentioned to you boys pre-show, Connor Watson has played 10 games this year, averaging 71 minutes per game. He's played 710 minutes. He hasn't made an error.
Crazy. It's actually insane.
And then you add in that he's been playing either as a number 9 that I assume would get the most, they definitely would get the most touch of the ball in the game, or like that link man 13 where he's also ball playing, not one error.
It's actually crazy. His fitness must be through the roof. Because usually at the very least, at some stage, a 9 or a 13 gets so fatigued, they just make the error.
And 9 looks up a little bit early, or they play the ball sloppy, and you it's remarkable.
It might even be his fault. It might be a bad play the ball. He gets flinged to him too quickly. It's crazy. Matty, what do you reckon, mate?
I'm wondering if, this is a bit of a left field one, I'm wondering if they might take Robson off, put Luai at 9 and let him run around at 6 for a bit. Some of his best games this year, Connor Watson has been at 5'8". Luai has played Origin, little parts of Origin at 9 before, so it's been done in the past. I'm just wondering if that's an option. That's probably a more effective way to get Connor Watson in the game, not just having him at dummy half. Yeah.
I mean, it's not too crazy because he has played a lot of 6 at club, and he actually paired really well with Sam Walker when Keary was injured. I guess defensively, that would be the biggest question defending out there. Is he used to the tempo and the timing and everything like that? But not too crazy.
It kind of just reads as maybe Reece Robson plays 60. Comes on and plays 20 at hooker, which is what he's been doing, what he's been killing it at Clubland. And
only thing is you've got to give Murray a break at some stage. So that's Isaiah Yeo would probably be the 13.
Spencer Leniu comes on as an extra middle. But yeah, Yeo plays as the ball playing in that 13. Period.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. All right, another tough question. How many minutes does Jake Trbojevic get?
I think around about the 50 mark.
50 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know, but 40 to 50. It'll be very match dependent, but 40 to 50.
Yep. Do you have so you are fully of the belief that last time the only 20 minutes or so was purely because there was a man down?
Yeah, I think that's to me, I think that's very evident, especially the way that he used his interchanges and whatnot in that game. I think it was very obvious what Madge was trying to do, get them in front during that game and then just ride the emotion home. And I think Jake just didn't suit the way they were trying to play. And I think it was a brave call by Madge. I really do.
Okay. What do you reckon, Timmy?
I think Jake Trbojevic is a grinder. There's probably no one else you'd want out there in a tight game when you need the scraps cleaned up, all that dirty stuff. But we went down a man early and we were down points early and we needed to chase points. And that's probably not his style of play. I just think they went the more aggressive approach, looking for second phase play, the offloads, the attackers, and that's not really Jake's style of footy.
Yeah, I'm not fully sold on either. I'm still on the fence as to why that happened because I think there's arguments for why you would need him on the field with a player down. He's the captain. He's communication. Communication is like half the battle in defence. We talk about him being able to clean up the scraps. that's what you do when you're a man down. So I'm unsure about that. I'm going to be really interested to see how many minutes he plays, because that will give the answer. That'll let us know what happened in game one. You know, when you lose I understand the argument that when you lose a man, that's even more reason to keep your captain on the field, because you've got your leader that's out there, you know, leading you through a very, very, very tough time. I guess we'll get our answer.
I'm so genuinely curious. Like, if James Tedesco was picked in that initial team for round one before Edwards got injured, or Cam Murray was available who could have been captain, would Jake Trbojevic have been there?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced.
It's a big question, a big question. So we'll see. We'll see game two. What do you reckon? Do you reckon he gets 50 minutes, or do you reckon
he can't? Yeah, he's got to. I'm probably sitting where Timmy was in the 40 to 50 minute window.
Yep.
Yeah, there definitely wouldn't be a repeat. Yeah, it was entirely game dependent the first time around. But if there's another situation where he's played less than half the game, you've probably got to go, what did you pick this bloke as the skipper for? I think he'll play at least half the game.
Matty?
Matty. Matty.
I was going to say, if the plan was always to have your captain on the field for 25, 30 minutes, I think that's madness. So just for that reason alone, I think he'll play more minutes. And if he doesn't, then I don't know why he's in the team.
Do you think, like, the argument against that would be, well, if you plan when something goes wrong to take your captain off, that's also pretty crazy. From the other, as I said, I'm on the fence with it. I don't know. Both sides don't really make sense. It doesn't make sense that you take your captain off when your team needs something in a desperate situation, but also it makes even, to be honest, I probably lean more towards what you guys are saying. It makes probably even less sense to pick a guy to only play him for 20 minutes. Come on for like 4 minutes at the end. That's irrelevant. The 20 minutes at the start of the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll find.
I'll tell you the other thing. Obviously, Spencer Leniu has a very specific role to come on and be that X factor off the bench, that extra drive, the freshman. But he played 23 minutes in game one and was unbelievable. He's going to be very hard to take off and have the shortest stint if he's playing anything like game one.
For me, it's almost more interesting how many minutes he plays than Jake, to me.
Mate, he was outstanding game one.
If he looks like he did in game one, and I acknowledge that, you know, he came on and in a short window he said, mate, just give it all for 23 minutes, and that was the plan. But if he's looking like that, he's got to play a few more than 23 minutes.
Yeah.
The minutes are going to have to be made up somewhere, because Hudson's out. Watson will probably go in for Robson. So we will see more minutes from.
That's the thing, though. If Hudson's going in for Robson, that means Isaiah Yeo's going to be playing 13. So, like, it changes up a little bit, because, as I said, then you're not looking at Isaiah Yeo as a front row. You're looking at him as 13. Going to be interesting. I cannot wait to see what he does.
That's if, though, they choose to play that when they're all on the field with a 13. They might not. They might just let Mitch Moses run the side.
Okay, so you're saying so when does Murray get a rest then? So Murray comes off, and then you have Spencer Leniu.
You could have Murray come off.
Trbojevic.
You can have Isaiah Yeo come on, but it doesn't mean he has to strictly play that link man role. Like, they can let Mitch Moses take control during that period. Like, I think sometimes with this 13 jersey, I think we get too wrapped up in the idea of you have to have a link man in every single team. Like, the Melbourne Storm don't really have one. They don't really play like that. There's no strict rule. That's how you have to do it. And for a 20-minute period, they could just play a power forward game whilst Cam Murray is off and hand the keys to the halves.
Yeah, I still think you need a guy in the middle to connect each side. I think that, Mitchell Moses can, drive the ship, and he may not be like a really high-end ball playing, but I think there's still got to be a guy that's selected as, mate, when we get to this edge, you're the guy taking the hit up to hit out the back, or there's always a forward, in my opinion, regardless of side, that is the ball playing forward. He may not be as a link man as Isaiah Yeo is with the Panthers. So you think that then Connor Robson, Murray comes off, so you think they would run with a front row on the field of Isaiah Yeo, Spencer Leniu, and Jake Trbojevic stays on the field?
Potentially, yeah.
And then they would bring Jakey off and put Olakau'atu in the middle, or
He'll
on the
come
edge?
on for Martin.
He'll come on for Martin?
Yeah, probably for Martin, yes. Yeah. Look, I'm not saying this is how I think it's going to run, but I do think sometimes we get a little bit too wrapped up in this ball playing 13 sometimes.
Okay. It's good. I cannot wait. All right. In regards to other positions, I think that it's a given that Stephen Crichton goes onto that right side. Trell Mitchell, noted left centre. That's where he plays. I don't even think he's played right centre at Origin. I don't think. He's always been on the left side. Mitchell Moses, Jerome Luai. Jerome Luai stays on that side, you'd have to say. stays on his side.
Yep.
With Latrell and Brian To'o.
Yep.
Moses, does he play? He plays. Which side does he play at the club?
Plays
right.
Yeah, he defends right, but I think he'll be all
Swing.
over the place.
So he'll be with Crichton, Lomax.
Yep.
Yep.
And Martin.
Liam Martin.
Yeah, and Liam Martin. Okay. Anything else on the Blues, boys?
I'll say one for you. Touch wood. Hopefully gets through all injury free. If something happened to the Blues fullback in this game, if Dylan Edwards, got a head knock or something like that, who goes to fullback for the Blues, do you think?
Probably Lomax.
Trell.
I just think with the speed of the game and the amount of work he's probably going to have to get through with this specific game plan, I just think Latrell's such a specific fullback that you've got to suit a game plan to him.
Yeah.
And I think he's such a
You've got an
weapon,
out-and-out... I know he has his shortcomings as a fullback, but you've got an out-and-out star fullback there, and Zach Lomax, who is a centre winger. I'm going Latrell for sure.
What are you going?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Like, I get where you're coming from, Lomax, but it's his fourth game of fullback, and he's going to be jumping in the Origin arena. It's a lot to
It
ask.
has to be Latrell.
I just think that the kicking game of DCE with the speed of the game with Trell at the back there, I think he might find
At the very least, in attacking territory, Latrell has to be the fullback.
Yeah, in attacking territory,
Yeah.
for sure.
What about Critter?
Get him Rove.
Or is it too much of an ask to take him out defensively?
I just think the weight, like Lomax almost plays like a fullback. Like he just gets through a bunch of work. Like that's the reason, is just his fitness at the back there, just getting through. Because I think that if Trell goes back there, DCE is just going to be just pinging, just making him run like this. Who would you have? Would you put Trell back?
No, I'd put Lomax. I'd put Lomax for a couple of reasons. Just he plays more like Edwards, and just mainly I don't want to move any of our centres. I'd just rather keep him there.
I personally think that you want Latrell, a Ferrari, just ready to score points on that centre position.
So do you boys think that if that happens and Lomax goes to fullback, we're attacking the Queensland's 20, does Latrell stay at left centre or does he go to fullback?
I think he roams. and just communicates.
Because you need, I think, Latrell's ball playing, attacking the line, if that does happen.
I just don't want Latrell gassed for that attacking. Like, I want him as Ferrari. As soon as we get in good ball, he is fresh. Like, he is ready to go.
Yeah, I'm more thinking in defence. Firstly, just as a team as a whole, I'd rather not move our centre. I'd rather move our winger. And if he goes to fullback, as you said, Denon, he's going to get through so much work with DC put in the corner. But so that's why I would go Lomax. Obviously, Latrell is a way better fullback than Lomax.
Yeah, if that is the case, I would, and again, I haven't thought through it meticulously, but I would be having, all right, you have Lomax in defence there and the kick returns and the positioning and all that. But as soon as you get in there 20-30, I'm going Latrell. You attack at fullback. Zacho, get back into the back.
Oh, yeah, I would just be saying Latrell, as soon as we get in there attacking, you're a roaming centre. You're essentially a fullback. But I just want him fresh in that period, because I just think that the one thing that you lack in good ball is that extra level that can just create points. And I want,
But we're also not going to get that with Zach Lomax playing fullback because he doesn't have the ball playing. Latrell's got some of the best, probably the best ball playing fullback.
But that's why
top five.
That's why I'd put Latrell, let him roam in attacking ball, good ball. I just don't want him doing the shit work. I don't want him and also the game plan that you guys have is a fullback that gets through 25 runs a game and gets you 250 metres. I just don't know if you've got enough time to switch to the type of fullback Latrell is that he's a ball playing. If let's say Edwards was out and your only two options was Latrell Mitchell and Zach Lomax with the week leading into camp, I'd put Latrell at the back there because I would just be like, there's a game plan around it. They'd look at ways that, yes, DC is going to kick around the park, but they're going to ways to, to fix that and to help Latrell with that. But in the middle of a game, I just think he's so different to Edwards that I just want Lomax to get through all the tough stuff, the kick returns, everything, and then I want Latrell Mitchell fresh as anything to get me points in good ball. What would you do?
Yeah, well, I'm just still trying to sort of work it out because if something happens, you're probably going to bring Watson on. He's probably going to go in the centres, hasn't he? I know you didn't want to move your centres, Matty, but
put Critter on the wing then.
Yeah,
and then you put either. Yeah, you could either go Latrell straight to fullback, or if Lomax goes back, you put Critter to the wing and you put Connor Watson at 3.
Yep,
I reckon.
Yep, I probably lean with you, Kempy. I don't think you want Latrell having to run around that much. You want him fresh as when they're up the attacking end because that's what he's
been selected to do.
That's what he's in the team for, to create chaos in attack. So you probably have got to think outside the box a bit there, and maybe you do put Lomax at the back. Anyway.
I just say, mate, because put it this way, kick returns, Lomax is look, Latrell when he wants to, is fucking probably the best kick returner in the competition. Like, incredible. But he doesn't play like that at fullback. So kick returns, you're probably more guaranteed Lomax is going to bring the ball back and get you more metres. Fair?
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
But geez, it's a tough question. I'd love to know what because they surely have got to talk about this as to what happens if Edwards goes down.
Yeah, I don't want to know. And even like when you say like you move, Stephen Crichton to wing, like he's the best defensive centre in the competition.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even. I would move Connor Watson, play him, just put him out there on the wing and just let Critter take control there.
Yeah.
And on 4th and 5th, Critter drops back.
Critter. Isn't it so funny that like both of us are like looking at, like, for example, I'm going, okay, you keep Latrell in centre for attack, and you're saying, no, you keep Critter in defence, but then you move him to wing for the 4th tackle, and I'm saying you keep Latrell at centre, but then you move him to fullback in attack.
Even what you guys said before, and I know we're doing this off the top of our heads, but if you move Lomax back to fullback, that means that you need Connor Watson to go to the right edge, but then we get 20 metres out and we want Latrell to be roaming. Lomax goes there. Like, it's a lot of moving bodies in one. Oof. It's a lot to take.
So you go Trell back then if he goes down?
No, I would probably go Lomax because I know what DCE can do with his boot, and from what we've seen of Latrell this year, I'm not sure how he would handle it. Really not.
So, okay, so you'd go Trelly, you'd go Lomax. Trelly or Lomax?
I think probably Lomax. The only other just thing is like the guy at the back's got such an important role in kind of like setting up the line and doing a lot of talking.
So you want Trell back for that?
Well, then do you maybe have...
That's where I look at Critter.
Then you need Crichton back there is what I was thinking.
Oh, fuck.
So
Could you just throw...
easy.
This is left field. Could you just throw Connor Watson back there? Because then nothing else gets disrupted. He's played fullback before. He's going to play... If you put him at lock, he's going to...
I don't know. Those bombs that would come up, like, it's a lot harder than people give it credit for. Like, the pressure of Origin, and you've got a DCE torpy bomb coming up. You got people sprinting at you, and you haven't been in that position often. Shit, it's tough. It is like, and you drop one of them, fuck it, then it's on for all money. It's a tough one. And also communication-wise, if you're talking about that, which is a great point, you probably want Critter or Trell back there because the Trell does it each week, and Critter is a great talker as well.
A turbo on the wing would come in handy.
Wow.
Dylan Edwards hasn't got injured yet, for the record. We might be all right.
I mean, a fullback went down last game.
Exactly.
So it's a fair point.
But it is probably the biggest worry across this entire side. Like, if anyone else went down, I think it's very evident what we would do.
Yeah.
Edwards is the worry.
Well, like, even if your 6 went down, you could put Connor Watson there, but let's say you could even put Trell at 6. Like, he can play multiple positions as well. Yeah. So
that is one thing that I think is going to be interesting in this game, and I'm sure he won't, but you look at the way that Jerome Luai's played his footy all year, like, their left centre's pretty much got a cold this year for Penrith.
I will say, 2021 though, when he had Trell outside him, killed it. Like,
for sure.
Ball all the time.
At that point, every left centre that was outside, Luai was killing it. Like, they were Dally M centres on the trot. And I'm very confident he gets early ball to Latrell. But it is going to be a little bit different to how Luai has played all year, because it's been like, I've never seen someone come off their left foot so much.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
And like, it's working for Penrith, sure. Like, but it's going to have to be very different in this game.
Alrighty, let's get to Queensland. So the big selection bomb was obviously Selwyn Cobbo. Basically said, I'm just not there. I'm taking painkilling injections and headspace, and I don't think I'm going to give my best to the Queensland jersey, which I can respect. I can respect that. So in regards to rotation now, what happens? Were you just all assuming that Billy Slater has said Kurt Capewell is my outside back if someone goes down? And he basically, if Reece Walsh, something happens to him again, touch wood, Jesus Christ, that'd be devastating. Then Hammer just goes back to fullback again. Curdy Capewell goes into the centres.
Are we confident Gagai's not coming into this side? What are we?
Yeah, I don't think. I initially thought Gagai would come into the side, but when asked, Billy Slater was pretty confident, or pretty firm on him seeing Curdy Capewell as a utility.
This Kurt Capewell played. I'm reasonably confident it will work out for Queensland because Slater will just get the best out of him. But fuck, if it doesn't work out, it's going to be such a big talking point.
Oh, massive.
I'll tell you what as well. If there is a theory there and Dane Gagai were to come in for Kurt Capewell on the bench, and that was the plan from the word go, the Warriors would be livid that they didn't allow him to play club. So for that reason, I'm like, I don't think so.
And if they manage to keep that a secret until Wednesday, that is unbelievable that hasn't leaked.
Because the Warriors would just go,
Well,
okay, so you never intend on playing it. I guess if it was 18th man, yeah, true. He would have been out anyway.
He would have been out anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe. I don't know. The way Billy was talking was not like a man that was like keeping all options open. It was, I believe in Kurt Capewell can do the job. It's a big call though. Like Kurt Capewell started really well at Warriors, but he's only had a few games back. Hasn't been like killing it or anything like that. It's a huge call.
Kurt Capewell having to play centre said no, he's done it before, but that was also 2022, 2020. When was it when he went out there and did well?
21. No. So 2020, I think, and then 21 he got fucking towed up by Tommy.
That was 2021, 3 years ago, and he got towed up. Granted, Tom Trbojevic, but it's a long time ago. It's not the same Kurt Capewell. He's getting on a little bit. Him ending up at centre, if it does happen through injury, geez, that, as Guru says, that writes the game plan for us.
It does, and like I think even last year, like he was fantastic for you guys, but laterally he has slowed down a lot over the last few years.
We were talking about moving into the middle.
And you were seeing teams pick him apart last year. Him and Ezra Mann defending next to each other. Like, teams were just going at them and were executing regularly.
It's a huge call. Like it could be the difference between winning and losing, because it's just like if an outside back goes down and he finds himself at the centres, like Hammer. Let's say Ball goes down or whatever. Hammer's going to get moved over there, but then like Stephen Crichton, he's no slouch. He's a gun centre. He's not just defensive centre.
Four of your back five have all been injured this year. The only one that hasn't, I think, is Valentine Holmes. Like.
There is still that part of me, though, that with Origin, once you declare yourself as an Origin player, which I think Capewell's done on a few occasions, part of me just says he'll fucking find a way to make it.
See, that's the thing. Like, we're focusing on the negative, but the positive is he has proven to be an Origin player.
Proven Origin player.
Yeah. The other thing is, like, if he does end up there, he's going up against two just destructive, brilliant centres in Stephen Crichton and Latrell Mitchell. What's going to impact him? It's that lateral movement being a bit slower. They're not lightning quick centres. Like, it's not Hammer. He doesn't have Reece Walsh coming at him. So, sure, he's going to be slower than them. But in contact, as long as he gets there, he's a good defender. He'll be able to get him down. I don't think he's going to get, like, destroyed by speed kind of thing.
Unless the ball playing is so good that they're getting them on the outsider initially.
Yeah. I'd put it this way. If the Blues had the same game plan and Kurt Capewell was our utility and he had to go to centre and go against potentially Hammer and Reece Walsh slinging out the back there, I would be horrified.
Even Val, who's quicker.
Even Val,
And, like, it was amazing in game one, despite us being down one player. Like, fuck, we caught you short on the edges
Heaps
a
of
lot.
times. As I said, in my opinion, you could have won that game. You really could have. Like, you gave yourself such a good opportunity. You just couldn't ice those final moments. And granted, yes, you were down a man, and that's why I think that Latrell, like, he ices those moments. Like, he finds a way to score points. And so, if the same situation happens where you have 60% of the field position or 65 or whatever it is, there's no way Latrell's not scoring a try. Like, there's just no way. He will score. He will score. So, okay, other positions. In regards to the rotation, Hopgood also not necessarily similar to Kafusi. I personally think when Selwyn went down, I think Billy Slater's gone, you know what? I'm going for a defence-orientated bench with my two extra players. And I look at their last game where, they didn't have too many weapons. But like, it wasn't hard for them to find line breaks early against the New South Wales. So I think maybe Billy Slater's looked and said, okay, you know what? Like, I've got enough attacking power. Maybe I need to have a bit more of a defensive-minded bench because we did get dominated for so long, for so many long periods. And he's looked at it and said, I'm going to go defensively orientated with his two bench spots right now.
I think Felice is such a good pick. I love it for Queensland. The combination of Felice and Kurt Capewell has shocked me. But I think Felice on his own, I think he's going to do well. I thought he was great in game one.
He was so good defensively.
Rowley had to play. And like, mate, he's been one of the best back rowers over the last 10 years or whatever. He's probably one of the best defensive back rowers I've ever seen. And over the last few weeks, Dwayne Bennett's just thrown him into the front row and he's gone head to head with some of the biggest packs in the comp.
Yeah.
You're only going to need 20 minutes out of him here and he'll find it.
Yep. And all you need him to do is come on and win the momentum battle. Like, just every chance you get, chop Payne Haas down or chop Murray down or whoever. Just go out there and defend your arsehole.
Yeah, and similar to DCE, he's seen it all, Felice Kafusi. There's nothing that's going to shock him out there, and he'll just be smart between the ears.
I've spoken about it a few times, but in recent years, I've just learnt that you can change games through your defence. And like I've seen Jake Trbojevic do it in clubland.
Yep.
I mean, even Liam Martin at times in game one, just some of the shots he was putting on and his speed off the line, just the ability to rally your boys to stop the momentum through the middle. I think Kafusi can come on and do that because he's one of the best defenders in the NRL.
Yeah. I think Harry Grant is extremely important at this game because I felt like he played quite poorly in game one. And I think that Billy's probably, pulled him aside and said, mate, I just need you to fix this. I would be shocked if Harry Grant comes out and plays a poor game. I think he's in for a big one.
Shits me to no end how seemingly you're 9 and 14 look at each other before the game and goes, who wants to be the star today? You or me?
Hey, Benny Hunt coming on and scoring that try is so ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. He's so... so I think Harry Grant's in for a big game. I thought Paddy Carrigan's first stint was outstanding. Sewer started really well, and he was solid, just a couple of errors. Really, if we can just cut out Sewer and Holmes' errors to one each, because Holmes had 3, Sewer had 2, I'm pretty sure, that goes a long way to just winning those momentum shifts that happened around those times. Lindsay Collins, Ruben Cotter, they're going to do a job. I think Val Holmes is in for the game of his life. I think that if there is a game that could turn around a guy's form for the season, this could be the game. And if there's... Look, Hammer is one guy that I would go, you know what? Latrell has done it to the best of it, but maybe Hammer can be the one to shut him down because he did it with Tommy to a degree. But Val Holmes has done some pretty incredible things in the Origin arena, and this may be his best ever performance. If he comes out and finds a way to shut down Latrell Mitchell, it may be the best thing he's done in Origin, and he has a resume that's long as anything in Origin.
And I think as well, I hear all the chat about how Latrell's going to, Val can't defend and Latrell's going to cut him up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, mate, if Queensland are able to get Latrell in the washing machine of in marker and just working him over, repeat efforts, Val Holmes is dynamic. This narrative of how good Latrell's going to be in attack, it could be flipped on its head in a heartbeat. I think Val's getting wildly disrespected in the lead up to this game.
Especially Val's attack, because he is so explosive and quick.
He's a freak.
It's not, and look, I understand Latrell Mitchell, he's a beast, but Val Holmes is also a beast in Origin. He's also had huge moments. Although, as I said, could be the fight of his life, Val Holmes, with a very... You can tell Trell has something to prove. So Val will essentially never get a harder matchup than what he's going to get on Wednesday night. But he may be able to step up to it.
But he's also going to get, in my opinion, probably the fastest fullback I've ever seen. On that shape that they run where, Reece Walsh is going to get to the outside shoulder of his man. Val is always going to have an opportunity against Latrell. It's and if we're sitting here on Thursday morning going, fuck, Val really cut him up there because that edge was just so quick, that won't shock me.
And I think Billy Slater, he loves speed because he was obviously a fast fullback. And so maybe Billy's sitting there going, yep, he's a beast, he's a gun, and he might get points here or there. But if we just attack them with speed, they won't be able to go with us. And
that's it. It's just, as Guru alluded to, it's just the perfect shape for it where with Walsh's speed, we know he'll get those 3-on-2s. We know he gets it right more often than not. And there's just no harder line-running centre than Val Holmes. And they'll get the 3-on-2 and it'll be Walsh. He'll be staring at Latrell Mitchell, who'll be sitting there going, do I come in, do I go out, what do I do? As on his other shoulder, on his outside shoulder, Val Holmes just tearing that hole. And that's where... It could be any centre in the NRL. It doesn't have to be Latrell Mitchell. They're going to get nightmares.
Yeah. And he runs one of the best lines in he's had a poor season this year, Val Holmes, but that line he runs at the inside shoulder,
that's unbelievable.
The amount of times that Drinky's just put it on his chest for that cow, no one can get near
him.
And
he's had a poor season defensively.
Yeah,
in attack, he's been fine.
Yeah. And you even look at game one. I know it's on the other side, but Billy had identified that Suoliti likes to jam in. The first opportunity they got a line break because Suoliti jammed in and the hammer just went, see you later. Yeah. And so, Billy's going to identify certain things that Latrell did when he's centre and potentially exploit that. So, man, it is just I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
Do we see Hammer popping up on the right as well? Do they give him a bit of a license at times?
I think you just play it by ear. I think because we didn't get to see Reece Walsh in game one, so we just didn't get to see. He can swing wherever he wants. He can swing left. He can swing right. He can go through the middle. It really just depends on how Reece Walsh was travelling. I think you give the keys to Walshy and say he's the dominant caller, so don't let anyone else kind of get in his way to a degree. But if they're starting to see a bit of a bit of tired legs on that side, you may see Hammer not even just swinging out the back, but just hanging around the play the ball, just to see if there's some lazy feet where he can just get in there and either take a scoot or be.
And that's where, when I look back to that series that we played the 3 games in Queensland, and we killed it. You would quite often look up and you would have Turbo and Latrell standing next to each other, and it was just that's my biggest fear. That you've got speed coming down that right side, and you got Walsh with the ball with Hammer and Val outside.
Mate, I have spoken nightmares before. I have dreams about Latrell on his edge and Turbo sweeping to the edge, and then in between them you've got Teddy in the peak of his career going in between them. And then you've got Damien Cook scooting out dummy half. Anyway, let's not go down this little funnel. Imagine that.
Yeah, so I do think you might find Hammer probing with scoots and just it might be around the 20 or 30 minute mark, just to see how match fit is this, not necessarily match fit, how good laterally is this big outside backs for New South Wales? Because really, it's size versus speed. New South Wales is still quick, but the speed of the Queensland side is their differentiator.
This game almost feels like for me that it's going to be Val or Latrell. One of them is going to come out the hero in this game.
Yeah, that's a good true. I'd be shocked if we come out and neither of them had a big game.
There's not going to be a dead even heat here.
Be very shocked.
One's going to be the winner, one's going to be the loser, and it could decide this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Outside of that, as I said earlier, the Queensland, I've seen some comments you spend so much time on New South Wales and not much time on Queensland. It's because Queensland are settled. You know the rotation, you know how it's going to happen, you know how many minutes most people are going to play.
To any Queenslanders out there complaining, I would rather not spend this much time in New South Wales.
They have
there's a reason why we're talking about them.
They have 2 different bench players that'll play limited minutes. It's there's not a lot to speak about, really.
Alrighty, so cannot wait. Very exciting. Anything else to add, Hammy?
No, I think you guys have covered it well, and I think you're right. The Val Holmes versus Latrell battle will be the big one.
One for the ages, I reckon.
One for the Latrell, easily best back player of the match at $14. If you think that Val comes out on top, 36 for him.
What's the troll for any timer?
245. Yep, I'm with you, Roo. I think.
Boy.
Yep.
That's juicy.
Yeah.
That's juicy.
That's
245.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't score a try.
Surely. At least one.
Yeah, surely at some stage in the match. Alrighty, time for the round 16 review. Okay.
My bad.
Awesome.
It was you anyway, if it helps.
Time for the round 16 review. Storm defeat the Dolphins 30-24. Don't forget, Kaya's got you covered this footy season with every game of every round live and ad break free during play. Some key games this weekend include Warriors v Broncos, Knights v Eels, Storm v Raiders, and Dragons v Dolphins, which are exclusive to Fox League and available on Kayo. There's plenty of room for everyone, so get on board with Kayo, now also available on Hubble. Okay, this game for me was I actually got more for the Dolphins out of it than I did the Storm. Look, good win, got the job done. There's no denying that at all. But the Storm, we know that. They're on top of the table. They should be beating the Dolphins. I'm beginning to get more and more concerned about their defence, especially the Hughes-Meaney combination. It's becoming a real concern for me. And this is me... yes, I am harsher on the Storm and Penrith and the top tier sides than other teams because they're the Storm. They're premiership contenders. So look, did a really good job to win the game, and that's what the Storm do. And they scored a bunch of points, which was super exciting. But in saying that, I do think that the Dolphins, a lot of us, if they said you'll get to round 16, you'll have a bunch of injuries, you'll have to sign someone in the middle of the year just to fill injuries, and you'll get defeated by the Storm 30-24 whilst they are on top of the table and you are sitting 4th or 5th, I think we'd all be sitting here going, that won't happen. That won't happen. So I took a lot of out for the Dolphins. For the Storm, got the job done, but I think there's still a bit to work on in regards to premiership threat, and I am getting a little bit concerned about their defence. Guru, thoughts?
Mate, the Dolphins, I am loving watching them play at the moment, and I find myself at the end of their game saying, why not? Why can't they?
It's getting, every week it gets closer to saying that. Like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, and you look at the guys they're missing, you know, Gilbert, Flegler, these sort of guys, like key personnel. They've got a teenage half, they've got a journeyman 5'8". Like, they just shouldn't be in this conversation in any way, shape or form. But I keep, you know, going up against these top sides, I'm confident that there's a lot of sides in this top 8 that I have concerns over. Come September, are they going to be able to compete with the good sides? I think the Dolphins will.
Yeah. When I look at them play last year, there was always this sense that they were playing on kind of passion and new season, first time. Whereas I look at them now and they're playing on systems. Like, they're playing where they just set a standard and they will play to that standard nearly every single week. And outside of some, you know, blips on the radar, they won't beat themselves. They'll never beat themselves, and they'll always be fighting in games. But we'll start with the Storm. We'll get to the Dolphins. We've spoken about him a lot all year, but I just want to give a real positive shout out to Katoa, because yes, his attack. We've all spoken about attack. Incredible. What an amazing player. Katoa's try saver on Lemuelu, he was from the other side of the field when he came across for that try saver and forced Lemuelu to reach out, and he ended up dropping the ball. That essentially won them the match. That's a defensive play. If you told me 2 or 3 years ago that Katoa would be running from the other side of the field to do a cover tackle before all the other people that could have got there, other centres, other wingers, plenty of other people could have got there first, I would have said, you have got rocks in your head. Katoa is a good, solid defender, but he's known as an attacking player. He has become one of the most well-rounded back rowers form-wise in the competition. And I just thought the fact that he made that cover tackle, but also the end of the match, we're talking about the Dolphins. What do we talk all year about the Dolphins? Tough, gritty, never give up, a lot of effort. Guess who was leading the VB hard-earned index over guys like King, Bromwich, Plath, and Liero? Katoa. Again, if you had told me that 2 or 3 years ago, even with Bellamy taking over his coach, I still would have said, no, we're going to get a really good attacking edge back rower that's going to round out his defence. Are we going to get the most hard-working player on the field against the hard-working side? I still wouldn't have believed it. I think it's incredible.
Walking away from that game, I thought, outside of that tackle, he was pretty quiet by his standards. And you look at his stats. 12 runs, 120 metres. He led the Melbourne Storm for post-contact metres, 65. He made 40 tackles. I mean, I walked away from that thinking he was almost quiet. If he would have done that 3 years ago, it would have been team of the week.
Yeah, and that's where he's gotten to in his game, where Katoa is winning VB hard-earned index. Like, we would never have expected that. I think it's one of the most impressive stories of the entire season. Timmy?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the words well-rounded there. And I think it was a week or two ago, I sat here and I said how well-rounded he is in attack specifically, because he can get you leaping in the air. He runs a great line. He can do that for feed where he goes into dummy half and just barrels through you. He's got a bit of ball playing. He's got a great offload to him. We're now sitting here a week or two later and you're talking about his defensive efforts and his work ethic and all these sorts of things. So he's getting better with every week.
Yeah, and I just feel like if he was in a Sydney club right now, you don't really hear much about him because he's down in Melbourne, similar to the Raiders, similar to the New Zealand Warriors before this year, obviously. Now everyone talks about them. To the Cowboys to a degree. It's teams that are kind of on the edges that don't get as much, exposure. When guys like Katoa just take a whole nother step to the next level, they don't get the raps they deserve. But for a guy like him to be winning the VB hard-earned index, like I think it's incredible. I think we say it every week, but this Storm system, it's one of, whether it's business, whatever sport you want to talk about, this Melbourne Storm system is one of the greatest systems to ever exist in Australia.
Yeah, and you know, another guy that stood out for me, mate, Jack Howarth.
Finally,
it's been the most patient waiting game of all time.
Yep.
But it seems to be every time I see him in first grade, I find myself almost questioning what Craig Bellamy's doing with him. Because he looks so impressive and so ready all the time.
And ironically, he was playing centre.
I walked away from there the other night going, I think I've probably find a spot for him in this side moving forward in the back line.
Surely at least he's on the bench. With the explosive Nate, if you're going to ease him into it.
Perfect.
Yeah, surely. Because you can put him in the forwards, you can cover a centre position to a degree.
It'll be really interesting because when Cameron Munster comes back and Tyron Wishart is the bench utility, do you have room for them both? But Maybe you
Surely.
do. Maybe you do because like
I still see him as a forward.
Jack Howarth is a forward who can cover the back line. Tyron Wishart is a back who can slot in at number 9 or potentially 13. So they're different types of utilities. And seriously, with those two on the bench, provided they Harry Grant's an 80-minute hooker anyway, and you've got Tyron Wishart there to cover it. They have everything covered.
For sure.
Everything
And on
covered.
that bench, when you've got a Nas too, like you got plenty of size there.
Yeah, size is
You might
not
just
an
have
issue
to
with
play him for more
Maccas.
than 30 minutes occasionally.
Yeah. And really, like, the other competing spot that you're looking at is between him, Joe Chan, Bradley. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, but it's not like you've got an established bench player that his spot would be taken.
And the other thing as well, like Howarth, he could be one of the most versatile players in the competition because came through the grades as a centre, and then he was an edge back rower, and it sounded like maybe he was struggling defensively with his reads on the edge, so he got moved to the middle. So he can cover anywhere.
Yeah. And he's just, I mean, in contact, how strong is he?
He's like we've always said it. He reminds us of Angus Crichton.
So much, like, seriously, so much like Angus Crichton, who had a very, very similar kind of obviously Angus probably hit his straps earlier, but in regards to like playing union in the centres and all that kind of stuff, very similar. So yeah.
But like Angus hit his straps earlier because he was given the opportunity straight away.
Yep.
Like even when he was playing at South, he wasn't the perfect product.
Yeah.
But he was given that opportunity.
Got to speak about it. We speak about him every week. Jerome Hughes. Wow. He is just getting better and better. And it's getting to the point where there's an argument to be made that he is more important to this Storm side than Munster is.
Well, I think what's interesting is that because he's had Munster out and Pappy for long periods of the season, he's just had to go to a new level, and this team has become entirely his. And off the back of it, we've seen he's in what, career best form, you'd argue?
Yeah, I mean, he is right up there with the best form he's ever played, for sure.
And he called at the start of the season, he goes, last year, he was fine in our eyes, but a bit of a down year. He said, my game wasn't where it needs to be, I need to lift. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something like that. He's done exactly that.
We'll put it this way. If you had to pick one right now for the rest of the season to be injured, like not injured, but just not available, who would you go?
I'd rather Hughes out there at the moment. They've shown they can do it without him.
Which is crazy to think.
Oh, out of him and Munster.
Yeah. Which is insane. Like, you would never have said that before the season started. That's how good he's going.
And you have a look at the career of Hughes, and we all know the story. He arrived down there not as a halfback. He replaced Brodie Croft, but and I know Brodie Croft took over that spot for a year or so. But the reality is, he stepped into the shoes of Cooper Cronk.
Yeah.
Could there be two more polar opposite? Probably, it's funny. Probably outside of Cooper Cronk and Sam Walker, just complete polar opposites. He's a fullback that was learning how to play halfback, and now they've built a top. They're a top 1 side at the moment, a top 4 side around it.
Jerome Hughes, if you ever want a story of, some kids are really talented and they can debut at 18 or 19 years old and they're just gifted athletes. And ironically, Hughes is a gifted athlete. But not every player, sometimes a player doesn't play a lot of first grade, not because of his own talent, but because the systems that he's in are not good. Like Hughes was up at the Cowboys, he was at the Titans, he couldn't get a crack. And granted, look, maybe Hughes wasn't committed to training, so maybe it was partly his fault. But there's also an argument to be made that maybe it was the systems he was in that just weren't good enough to get the best out of him, to force him to train. Goes down to Melbourne and gets a second lease at life. And if you told someone that just started watching footy 2 or 3 years ago, see that guy? He was about this close to basically never playing first grade.
And I mean, we spoke about it before, and I know it's not the same situation, but we're looking at the Titans now. They got all these fullbacks. They don't know how to fit them all in. That was the Melbourne Storm 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Drinkwater,
Pappy.
Hines, Pappy, Hughes, even Cam Munster. He arrived as a fullback.
Yeah.
They've taken 2 of them and turned them into arguably the best halves pairing in the competition.
If they were calling the Dally M halfback of the year tomorrow, he'd probably be it, wouldn't he, for this season?
He'd probably have look, DCE, because he's so dominant with the Manly side, it's hard not to look at him. But then you actually look at the facts of the matter, and the facts of the matter are they're on top of the table of the Storm, and he's the main man.
Missing players. They've been missing players all year. And their defence has been a bit of an issue that you've kind of outlined.
I mean, they're still in the top 4 defensively.
And they're fine. They keep winning.
Yeah.
They're finding a way to win ugly, which is a great sign with a few players coming back later in the year.
I think it's Hughesy, hands down.
Yeah, okay.
For
Lock
sure.
him in.
I think he's been unbelievable this year.
Yep. So form 7 of the comp right now, number 1.
And I mean, even then, mate, you say DCE is so dominant to Manly, which he is, but this bloke's as dominant to Melbourne at the moment. He does everything.
Yeah, it's incredible. And he just flies under the radar because he's down in Melbourne. I mean, a couple of years ago, It was Nathan Cleary, then Hughes. It really was.
Yeah.
And I think people forget that. They forget that, like, you know, when Cleary was killing it, Hughes was playing not as good, but not that far off. Not that far off.
2022, I think. Yeah.
Incredible year. So he's been there before.
And this is what, like I mentioned earlier in the show, but he also doesn't have that link man at 13. He just runs the show.
Yep, absolutely. He's electric. Every time he gets the ball, you're just going, fuck, like, something's going to happen here. And he's missing Munster, he's missing Grant. Pappy has just come back into the side. He's been winning without Pappy at the fullback.
And it's a full credit to Craig Bellamy and his coaching ability to go from Cooper Cronk to this guy, polar opposites.
Yeah.
Make it work.
I mean, Bellamy's ability to transition generation after generation, it's like incredible.
It's so underappreciated.
Yeah, because this roster at the Storm are nothing like the roster that he used to have in personality, in style of footy, in everything, in training. Like that. This is, to be honest, it's almost a bit of a rogue to a degree. Not rogue in a bad way, but like you wouldn't look at Hughes or even Harry Grant and say, oh yeah, Hughes is similar to Cronk. Harry Grant, yeah, he's similar to Cameron Smith. You know what I mean? That's just
their style's even different to that comp they won in 2020.
Yeah, it's incredible. So yeah, amazing stuff. Outside of that, negatives, as I said, this Meaney and Hughes combo in defence though, really getting concerning. I know Meaney gets a bad rap because his defence this year has just not been great, which is like honestly blown my mind because if there was one part of his game I thought he'd be great at, it'd be his defence. Now, I don't know whether it's because it's hard being outside Hughes because Hughes is the one that's making those decisions hard or it's Meaney that is making the wrong calls. But I did notice on the weekend, it would be hard to defend outside Hughes because sometimes he'll shoot up and then he'll slide back. And funnily enough, Hodjo used to do that. He used to like dummy to go up and then he would slide back. And if you're outside him, you're just like, fuck, what do I do? And you'd scream in and then you'd see him slide back and then you'd slip over because you'd be like, what the fuck? And so with Hughes, I wonder whether Meaney's really struggling to... The more he plays, the more he's going to get it. But it is becoming a real point of focus for other teams to go, you know what, let's just attack Hughes-Meaney combination.
Yeah, and it looks like at the moment Craig Bellamy doesn't have the answer to that, so I'll give you the hot tip. I sure as fuck don't. But you can tell that there is an issue there.
Yeah, Timmy?
Sure.
It's terrible. Like, they conceded, I think, 3 tries down that edge on the weekend. I think the week before against the Warriors, they might have been all 4 tries went through that edge. They're just on different pages.
Not to mention for that Warriors game, that's the edge they never passed the ball to. They flipped their entire game plan for that game to target
them.
They have serious issues down there. They are going to struggle to win a competition unless they can sort it out because the good sides are just going to terrorise it. And it's hard because you don't want to make changes to a team leading the comp and winning games, but Craig Bellamy, he won't be scared to do it if he needs to. Like, Remus Smith will come back in this week. I don't probably think Howarth is realistically a longer-term option there in terms of this season, but good defensive player, at least in contact. I wonder where it might end up because if it doesn't change over the next month, I said Bellyache will shake it up.
Yeah, I think that the next step for Bellamy is he's clearly got a defensive system that they're struggling to understand. Well, not understand, but execute. Because we know Bellamy's defensive system works. So it's not the system. But I think he may need to look at Meaney and Hughes and Warbrick and say, guys, which one do you want to be? You're either up and in or slide. You tell me. I think with the Storm in the modern game, you turn it, you say you're an up and in defence, and Hughes, I want you just trailing in behind it when they do strip us on the end. Because it's very hard to be an up and slide defence in today's game because attacks are just getting so good. I personally prefer up and slide. I think it's much safer. You obviously give away metres, but I think it's a much easier way to defend. But Storm have been... History would suggest Storm do like the up and in defence. But on the weekend, as I said, like even on
years ago, they used to be up and out, like for a long, long time, but it sort of shifted in more recent
up and in.
Yeah.
Look, it seems to me like Hughes is an up and slide defender because he likes to go really low and just chop whoever's running at him, which is a good technique. But then obviously quick play the ball. And it seems to me that Meaney is probably trying to do the system that Bellamy is suggesting, which is up and in, but it's getting caught up. So I think they've just got to make a choice and simplify things and go, okay, we're going to let some tries in, but at least we can try either up and in or up and slide, and then we'll be able to decide which one works better because at the moment, it's just not working at all. Like, it's just not working at all. Anything else on the Storm, boys?
No.
Okay, on to the Dolphins. Really unlucky in this one. And I've got to say, quickly, first of all, I want to say was it G that got some bad text sent to him by a teenager, and he still went out and refed on the weekend, I think, or maybe the week before. Adam G. First of all, like, you know, what a legend for copping that and still going out and doing his job. But it's going to sound like I'm a bit contradicting myself, but guys, like, writing abusive stuff about referees, it hurts our game. You are going to make the game worse by doing that. So if you're angry and you're pissed off and you're only angry because you want the game to be consistent or you want it to be better, writing abusive messages is not going to help that. It is just going to make it worse and worse and worse. So even from a selfish perspective, where if you don't give a shit about the rest as human beings, which you should, but if you are selfish and you're just like, who cares? I don't care about them. Be selfish and be like, do I want the game to be better? Don't send those kind of messages. And also, guys, like, these are human beings. They don't intentionally make bad decisions. So just wanted to get that out there. There's nothing wrong with critiquing them respectfully. So I'm going to sound a hypocrite because what I'm now going to say is, in saying all that, and I'm doing this in a respectful way, the bunker over the weekend was really poor, and I think the NRL should make it a priority of putting more money into upskilling our referees heading into next season.
Yeah, there was a number of shockers for this weekend, which we'll get to them sort of skittled throughout the weekend, but I agree with you, mate. And, you know, just on the referees too, I was when I took that Harold Matts trophy to New Zealand, I went to New South Wales Rugby League and all the refs just happened to be in the cafe that day, and I sat down with them for 15 minutes. All champion blokes. Like, in no shock to anyone, legends.
They love the game probably more than all we do.
Heaps more than any of us.
Because they're doing it. They're all pretty probably intelligent people, so they could get decent jobs elsewhere. They get paid relatively well, but doesn't mean they can't get paid well in another career. And they, like, the better they are as a ref, the less they get talked about. You only talk about them when they're bad. So they just, who here gives them compliments ever? Like, they just get peppered left, right, and centre. It is the hardest job in rugby league, bar none. I don't care what anyone says. Being a ref is the hardest job because you get no praise when you're good at it, and when you make a slight error, you get absolutely annihilated. That doesn't mean that you can't critique them, because any refs that I've ever met, they are more than open to respectable critique, even if they disagree with the critique. But guys, like, we're not going to have high-quality reffing if we keep driving refs out of the game. There have been multiple refs that have quit because of the amount of abuse they cop. There have been refs that have, in country footy recently, refs that stood down because of the abuse and threat to their safety.
They went on strike.
It just,
country rugby league refs.
Guys, like, I get it. I get the frustration. Trust me, some bad calls happen. But they don't do it intentionally. These guys are human. These guys and girls are human beings.
That's the bizarre thing to me. We've got, you know, these footballers out there on much bigger salaries. We don't expect perfection out of them, but we do from the referees.
Yeah. And as I say, guys, the calls always come back around. It always comes back around. Yeah. Like, you may get an absolute stinker. You may get 2 or 3. Eventually, you'll get the calls. Or, on top of all that, I always say this, tell me a year where the best team didn't win. And I know people have their little smart, like, a funny comment, oh, it was this year, it was over. But, like, in reality, when did the best team not win the competition?
If you think a ref decides a game for you, you haven't done enough to win it. That's my favourite. Just
on the ref situation, if you're thinking about potting a ref aggressively, I'd encourage you to go and actually referee a game, as I did earlier in the year. Not that I make a habit out of aggressively potting refs, but
and let the people know,
far out it is not, especially when you've got Hainsey up in your face just giving you these ones.
So for people that don't know, you refed a charity match.
I did. Mark Hughes Foundation charity match at the start of the year. It is tough. You can't switch off at all, because everyone looks at you when the ball stops or something happens. It's all on you. You've got to make a call then and there. I didn't even have a bunker, unfortunately, so I just had to sort of freestyle it a little bit. But it is a tough gig. So,
did you let the players sort it out?
I did like to let the game flow. I had to slow a few people down a little bit, but it's a tough gig, and I reckon it'd be a good way to just give yourself a bit of perspective, get out there and actually referee a game.
I think it is something worth noting that you at home, you quite often have a better view than the referee.
Way better view. It's like you get the replays, like very easy to, like, it happens, boom, like that. And then they've got to make a call. And yes, they're trained for it, guys, so they're better than us at it. But so look, I think that the NRL is put their money where their mouth is. I know they already put a bit of money into referees, but I think they should up the budget for referees and really make it a point of changing the narrative around the way this game treats and speaks about referees, but also giving the referees as many resources as possible to be the best they can be. Because I do think ex-referees that are retired, like you speak to them, and they do talk about like sometimes that they feel they could probably get some more resources to, remember it was a few years ago, there was 2 refs, which, was probably too much, but at the same time, geez, it make your job easier with 2 refs. They had that taken away from them. So I hope the NRL does put some more resources into it, because I do think that, as I said, the bunker on the weekend, and this is not just wasn't just one bunker, this was multiple different people. Some of the calls was just really poor. Like the 10 in the bin we'll get to it. Anyway. So, as I said, guys, please don't abuse the referees. We're going to lose them, and that's going to hurt the game even more. And then we're going to be sitting there going, oh my God, I wish we had have treated the referees a bit better. Okay, Dolphins. Really unlucky to lose this one, if I'm being honest. I thought that Wayne Bennett summed it up really well. He said, we didn't lose this match, we just ran out of time. And I think that is what happened. They did run out of time. I think if the game was a little bit longer, they probably do go on to win it. Now, that doesn't mean Storm still won it fairly and squarely. But it just shows you the fight that the Dolphins showed. And we have to remember, this combination of Trey Fuller, Katoa, Nikodima, JMK, never really played together. Like that, as in before this year, these combinations haven't played that much rugby league together, and this is how well they're going. An outstanding performance.
Yeah, and you chuck Plath in there as well, who's new to first grade. Psychoplath. Yeah. Boys,
Also, Zach Climax, just forgot to say that earlier today. I would put Zach Climax to fullback.
The last play of this game, the pass that, I know it didn't lead to anything, but the pass that Trey Fuller through to Jermaine Osako was a completely blind pass around bodies in that dying moment. I thought that was it deserved a try. It didn't end up coming to it, but that was an incredible play by Fuller. He's a freak.
I tell you what, we always talk about the lack of halves. We have almost an abundance of fullbacks these days. Seriously, with a guy like Trey Fuller not playing first grade regularly is insanity.
Mate, across the Dolphins and the Titans, you've got enough fullbacks for half the league.
Yeah. Timmy, what do you reckon at the Dolphins, mate?
Yeah, they had every chance to win it. I don't know about they just ran out of time, and that's the reason they lost it. As far as I can remember, there's only ever been 80 minutes in games of footy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Timmy goes whack on Wayne Bennett.
Fence.
Yeah, headline, Daily Telegraph, get on it.
Okay, get on it.
I mean, the Storm might have got other attacking opportunities as well, so I'm like, unless there was
I think what he's implying there is that they never gave up. They were fighting all the way to the end.
And they did. But they had every opportunity. The scramble defence of the Storm, that last 2 sets, was unbelievable. Osako looked for all money like he was going to score. Pappy getting underneath him for that was so courageous. And even just technically, for him to hold on to him there was unbelievable.
Osako's a much bigger body than
Pappy. In his first game out from injury, he's a lot smaller. So the way they scrambled defensively those last couple of sets was an awesome finish and an awesome game of footy. But yeah, as you said, Campy, these are the Storm who are genuine title contenders this year, and the Dolphins had every chance in it. So they'll take a lot of positives out of it. I thought Kenny Bromwich went to the edge very early when they lost Jack Bostock in the first couple of minutes of the game. Kenny went to an edge roll. I think he scored their first try, assisted the second try. He was outstanding for them.
Yeah.
What about Wayne Bennett left Canberra in 1987? Timmy hasn't forgotten it. Still coming after it.
Why do you hate him so much?
Sorry,
trying to inspire the boys, mate.
I love Wayne.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. You could say it's 80 minutes. They didn't get the job done.
Yeah.
But I do like about the fact that Dolphins, they just never give up. Who else stood out for you boys in regards to, we say it every week, Katoa, he's getting more comfortable each week, but it's just defensively, he's just going to get targeted constantly. I feel it's a baptism of fire. Him and Cody Nikodima, if they can somehow just measure that, I actually thought Katoa had probably a little bit better defensive game than maybe last couple of weeks.
It's so hard, Campy. It's the one thing you just see with the Dolphins every week. They're playing such good footy this year, but they've just got such liabilities defensively in those two players. And you get to the point where they've got to ask, what they're doing this year is fine. They're playing great footy and they're winning games of footy and they're competing in every game, but you can go at either of those two and make game plans around either one of them. And if one isn't working and one's turned up defensively, you go at the other one because they're so small. They're pretty weak defensively. Cody had been a bit better this season.
Well, Katoa's a big body, but he's a rookie.
Yeah, exactly. But, and over time, we could be speaking about this in 2-3 years, and he could have completely rounded those.
I'm happy to bet that within 24 months he'll be one of the better defensive halves in the competition. I think Katoa,
And even like
he's going to be incredible.
there was one for one of the early. It might have been that try of the Josh King try. Nicarima just flew off the line. That wasn't even a physicality thing. That was just him getting off his line, going, "I'm smaller. I need to get up, make contact early."
Yep.
Straight past the ball. King went in over untouched, and you're just like,
Yeah.
if they can tighten up the D, but they are what they are at the moment.
Hopefully, you know, I think we don't give enough credit to teams where you build into seasons. So, you know, we always think that, the first round 1 to 10 product is the same product as round 20 to 25 product. I'm hoping with Nicarima, because I do think Isaiah Katoa's defense has improved on last year as well, and I do see it slowly improving. Nicarima it's a bit of a different kettle of fish because he is so small. He's probably always going to be fighting with things like, for example, if he was a bit bigger and he didn't have to worry about the contact, would have he screamed out of the line? I don't know.
No, I don't think he wouldn't have,
Yeah.
because he needs to get up there and shut them down before they get
It's a tough
moving.
one. But he's so good in attack.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
I think you just also need to keep in mind with Isaiah Katoa, like I was at the New South Wales Queensland under-19s the other night, and like you watch the halves there, and like you want them to be able to defend, but you're also like at the same age, Mitch Moses couldn't defend for shit, and you just
Woods and Black both had defensive lapses.
100%. And as you expect at that age, and I think you need to remember Isaiah Katoa is only a year older than them. It feels like
20.
he's 24. He's 20 years old.
20 years old. Oh, for sure. I think with Katoa, it's because I've been so impressed with his attack this year and his development. I start going, like, we're this close away from a fully well-rounded 7. And so if he just can tweak that, which, as I said, I think he's been improving. And also, I would make the argument he is no worse a defender than the average defenders that are 7s in the competition, in my opinion, across the board.
I think individually those two, you can, if they weren't playing on the same team, you could put things around them and, like, you know, maybe you could partner one of them with like a Felice Kafusi or a Kenny Bonch, because they're such good defensive edges. They're playing in the middle now, I get it. And you can, like, put systems in place to help them defensively.
It's like when Lockyer first went to 6 and defensively he struggled.
you can help them out.
Tony Carroll.
But when there's 2 of them, it just makes it very hard to protect them both.
And ironically, what will we speak? Like we just spoke about Hughes being the Dally M 7 in the competition. He also, I would make the argument that Katoa hasn't been any worse than Hughes and Meaney with his centre this year, and yet we're talking about Katoa, like Hughes as the Dally M 7 of the year so far.
And the other thing, and I'm guilty of this as well, but just your stature as a half, whether you're missing more or less than other gun halfbacks and 5'8" in the competition, if you're smaller, just by analysts and critics, you're just going to be targeted. As I literally do it myself. I look at Cody Nick and I go, you're small, you're defensively weak. His stats might not be that far off, like a Jerome Hughes or someone, as you said.
Yeah.
They do get unfairly targeted.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes you just assume that the bigger halves are good defenders.
It's absolutely not the case.
And then,
the time.
you look at their stats and you're like, holy shit. So,
someone like Matty Burton has had a lot of defensive issues in the last
100%.
couple of years.
DCE.
Yeah, DCE.
It's a really good example.
And yeah, exactly. Like DCE, great in contact, but his reads aren't always great. He puts pressure on the blokes outside, and we've spoken about him a lot. But like Matty Burton, a big body, and probably escapes a lot of criticism even from us defensively, because it's just like subconscious. Big body, he's an all right defender, but he's not the best defender in the NRL as a half.
And so, like with Katoa, I think we speak about it a lot because I'm getting excited. I'm sitting there going, are we about to see a guy at 21 years old be the full package already?
Yeah, well, let's get really excited for a second, because I was asked a question the other day that I sort of sat back and went, fuck, that's a cracker. He's played 34 games as a Katoa. Who do you think you're more excited about? Him right now or Nath Cleary after he'd played 30 games? I think if you just take defence out of it, because Nath came in and was an incredible defender from day one.
Literally
I think attacking
40 tackles against the Storm on
debut. Crazy. Yeah.
Attacking wise, probably more excited for in the first 30 games.
Yeah.
Probably more excited for Katoa. Now, don't lose your heads, everybody. Like, that's not to suggest that he's going to do what Cleary has done. Everyone works at different times. You look at a guy like Cody Walker, didn't debut till 26. But that just shows you how far and also he's had the pressure of a new club on his shoulders. New franchise. We'll put it this way. There's a reason why if there's one bloke the Panthers have been filthy that they lost, it was Katoa. Like, that was one signing where they were genuinely pissed that they lost him, to my understanding. With what I've been told, I could be, maybe internally they weren't concerned, but imagine a world where he was the one to replace Luai. Like, their plans would have been he was supposed to replace Luai when he eventually moved on, because maybe the audience aren't aware, but salary caps are planned like 5 years in advance. It's not like year on year. You're genuinely looking, okay, here's the 5-year plan. Yes, obviously we'll tweak along the way. So yeah, mate, I'm so excited for Katoa. So excited. All right, done and dusted. Now on to the Titans with a famous victory over the Wars, 66-6. If you're a religious person, look away. Okay, let's get straight into it. What an incredible victory from the Titans. And it almost washes away what the hell happened last week. We've got to talk about it off the bat, though, and we've already spoken about it a little bit. But what is the McSmart decision? Celebrating Maccas McSmart meal. $6.95 gets you 2 small burgers, a small drink, and a small fries for $6.95. It's incredible. And us geniuses here, are going to try and work out one of rugby league's toughest questions. And we're trying to channel our McSmart vibes. Okay, here we go. Might have got a McSmart meal in this little package right now. How good. Okay, boys. What is the McSmart decision for the Titans going forward? We've already spoken about it a little bit, so we don't go into detail. But gun to head in 2025, what if you're looking at not only a club going forward, but also you care about these guys, you want them to be playing first grade, what decision do you make?
Oh, I hate this question because I've flipped like a fish in the last 12 months. I think you have to find a spot for all three, like a McFish.
Feel it a fish?
Feel a fish. I think you have to find a spot for all three of them. I think it also sort of depends what ends up happening with the halfback jersey. If Foz isn't there, that could change things for me too. But I think that Keeney has shown over the last few weeks that he's a genuine elite player in this competition. I think you got to have him in there somewhere. I think he's probably an out-and-out fullback. I think Brimson's the best fullback at the club, but unfortunately Brimson's got the versatility to play other positions, which I think really hurts him. And Jaden Campbell, if they can work him out defensively, just to lift him to a 7 out of 10, I think at 5'8" is his spot. And unfortunately Brimson, who I think is the best player out of them, the best fullback of all of them, probably lands at centre.
I think Brimo's the best fullback, but I'd play him at 5'8" because you got these 2 star fullbacks. A month ago, I'd have said Jaden Campbell at fullback, but on what I've seen from Kinney, he's a star. Not to say Campbell isn't either, but I would go Kinney fullback, I would go Brimson at 6, and I would go Jaden Campbell off the bench.
I think they're going to have to let one of Kinney or Campbell go. I reckon Brimson, get him back in and get him at fullback. He signed an extension to stay. And with the money that they save from one of those other, you've got to just work out like what are all of these guys worth. And I think that their market value would be quite high. They're probably going to get rid of one of them and bolster another position that they might be lacking, whether that's getting a gun number 7 or there's a couple of other areas in the field, some front rows or maybe some outside backs that might serve them well as well. But I don't think you can carry all 3 of them and pay them what they're worth.
Matty?
Yeah, you got to let one of them go. Like Phil Gould and Dwayne Bennett do it all the time, where just because they're in the squad doesn't mean it's fair to keep them in there when they could be a first grader somewhere else. So definitely not getting rid of Brimson. Like that's absolutely lock-in job. He's staying. So yeah, I'd be looking to keep either Kinney or Campbell. Yeah,
look, I think that unless there's a lot of what ifs. Like if Campbell can sort his defence and just make it solid, doesn't have to make it great, then you could maybe put Brimo at centre. But I think with all the information we know now, I think you got to speak to one of them and go, you know what, you are too good to be playing out of position or in reserve grade. And I think that person, and this is not because of their ability or form, it's purely because we have less information and data to go off of how good they are in NRL. The person that is Kinney. I think you go to Kinney and you say, look, obviously they've got time, so you don't have to make the decision. But if you're making it right now, like literally today, you go to Kinney and say, mate, you are way too good to be dropped to reserve grade or put at 14 if Campbell gets pushed to fullback. You should be playing fullback each year, every day, for whatever club you're at. Now, if Kinney continues to kill it, that's a different question. But I just think with the information we have, we know Brimo's the best at the club. We also have seen Campbell succeed for a long period of time at fullback. I would just do it purely. It's also a cultural thing as well. Campbell and Brimo have been around for a while. And I'd just be saying to Kinney, like, mate, you are way too good to even worry about your position being taken by Campbell or Brimo. Because I just don't think it's worth paying Brimo $800K a year to be putting him in centres long term. And I think that there's too many what ifs around Campbell being 6. And I think that Brimo can be a 6, and I think Campbell can be a great fullback. That's my McSmart decision.
The other tough thing is as well that, and I agree with you. I think if you're going to prioritise 2 of them, it should be those 2, but both can find an injury as well, which is what makes it so hard.
That's the thing. And if Kinney could go away, and he may not, he might be the best out of all of them, he might not be, but he also, one key factor, he might be the most, not versatile, the most durable out of the lot. And you could be sitting there going, well, shit, okay, did he reach Brimo's heights? Maybe, maybe not. But he's on the field a lot more. So
with all 3 of them at the club right now, you boys have got Brimson at centre, round 1 next year.
Not round 1 next year. Right, all 3 of them at the club right now. Campbell continues to hold that 6 jersey until he proves that he's not a gun at 6. If he's just average at 6, I'm putting Brimo straight back in there.
Okay.
But if he stays at this standard, doesn't have to score record points every game, but if he stays killing it at 6, he keeps the 6 jersey. Oh. It's all dependent on him staying at an 8 to 9 out of 10 in 5/8 to keep Brimo out of that spot. Then, if he does get put out of the spot, I have the tough question of Kinney or Campbell. Then it goes down the pecking order of, okay, Kinney, if you keep playing the way you are, you don't lose your jersey. But if you do start playing poorly, then obviously Campbell comes in and gets that jersey.
Yep.
Is this ridiculous? Or if they're all fit, could you put Jaden Campbell at 7 when Foran's done? Brimson at 6, Kinney at fullback, and there's your spine.
The old boy did it.
I mean,
Presto did it.
When it comes to talent,
game's changed, but
game's changed. Hughes at fullback can come into 7 and do a job. Yeah, I mean, you could try it.
He's literally got the perfect example of why it can work. I'm so aware it was over 20 years ago, but same build. I would argue Jaden potentially even bigger than Preston, and he went from fullback to halfback and won a Dally M there, I believe, at halfback.
Yep.
I know, bigger bodies these days. The game changed, but maybe.
I wonder if that is the plan.
Just something on Jaden Campbell, just having a look through his career. So he's played 49 games of first grade across the first 4 years, right? He's played 6 games of Queensland Cup. So across the last 4 years, that's about 100 games he's been available. He's played 56 of them.
See, that makes me concerned.
It's a big concern.
Brimo definitely can pick up an injury as well.
I would almost argue Brimo is probably worse, I reckon.
Yeah. And also, Kinney, back-to-back player of the year in Queensland Cup. So how many games has he played? Do you have that there by any chance?
Get it for you. And that's not to say that's going to be the case forever. I mean, you would have said the same thing about James Tedesco after year 2 or 3, and he's gone on to play a heap of games.
But it's something to factor in if you're looking.
You've got to consider it, for sure.
Okay, anyway, look, life can be silly, but going to Maccas, always the smart decision. If you're going to make a decision, make it McSmart. Let's get into it, shall we? Already spoken quite a bit about the Titans, so we'll be relatively quick, but we'll speak about a few of the boys that we thought killed it. We obviously spoke about Campbell. I want to talk about Kieran Foran. 4 try assists, 91 run meters, 6 post-contact, a tackle break, 17 tackles, 0 misses. And just interestingly, Campbell did miss 7 tackles on the weekend, so just got to bring that down. If he could get to a 3 to 5 each week, I would be okay with that, I reckon. But yeah, I want to talk about Kieran Foran. Mate, his ability to get his body in front and do the tough stuff this far into his career is incredible. Genuinely one of the toughest halves to ever play the game, in my opinion.
Mate, it was evident he's one of the toughest halves in his first 3 years of his career. Some of the stuff he was doing, and it wasn't that long ago that I think it was when Manly re-signed him to come back to the club. We were like, mate, the bloke his body can't hold together.
Yeah.
Can't get half a season in. How on earth is he going to manage to play games for Manly? He did. He's now gone to the Gold Coast Titans. He's missed a few games here or there, but on the most part, he's been really good. And some of the shots he was putting on the weekend, we went up against, I think it was 2 shots he put on Dylan Walker, former teammate, just absolutely fed him.
Yeah, just so good. So and just, often halves, you don't notice it that much, but they don't put their body in front. Kieran Foran puts his body in front every time. So even if he falls off the tackle, he at least stops momentum. That's the brave thing to do, is to put your body in front.
It's almost to the point with him, whereas if I was coaching, I'd sort of go, can you not as much?
Can you not do that?
We can't afford to not have you on the field.
Yeah.
It was a masterclass in just playmaking from Kieran Foran. The way he picked apart that edge with so many different variations. There was one where he put Fermor in between Tamari Martin and whoever the centre was there. Yeah, Pompey. He got them in so many different ways. he had a field day out there. It was honestly one of the best performances I've ever seen from Kieran Foran.
He was so good. And what I liked about it was both sides of the footy as well. Both sides of the footy. So outstanding from Kieran Foran. Best game he's played for the Titans, in my opinion. And look, I tell you what, the fact that he's not re-signed for next year, they're just in a tough spot because, unfortunately, he has had injuries and does struggle to get a full season out. And even when he does get a fair few games, like there's always a niggle here or a niggle there, or gets brought off, or it's a really tough. He's one of those decisions where you could roll around next year, you re-sign him, and be sitting there going, shit, like he's missed half the year. Or you could be going, far out, we miss his leadership.
I wonder, are we all thinking too much about it? As you mentioned with those injuries before, like Kieran Foran, AJ Brimson, Jaden Campbell, three of the most injury-prone players in the competition, all key spine players and guns at what they do. Are they just going, we need coverage for one of them and we can keep Kinney or Campbell on, not massive money, it might be 400 over, but one of them's always injured.
I think that might be part of it. I think they're also going, okay, we know these guys are getting injured. How are we as the Gold Coast Titans going to be able to go out and get us another superstar fullback?
Yeah.
The only problem is that Kinney can get big money somewhere else probably if he plays long-term at that club. So he's not going to sit there forever and go, yeah, it's all good, I'll just be on.
It's hard to negotiate, I'd imagine, from the Titans and saying, look, one of you may well be playing some Q Cup, but look at the numbers of how many games these blokes have played. Maybe there's a succession plan for when Kieran Foran does retire, whether he doesn't play next year or if it's the year after, whatever it might be, but they're going, you're still going to get a good wicket, and they cop a loss or they weaken somewhere else in the roster a little bit just to have that extra depth, and they still pay Kinney his 400 or whatever it might be.
Mate, like I keep saying the same thing about AJ Brimson. He just keeps on re-signing at the club. Like he obviously loves the place there. Like I would imagine, unless the Titans have said to him, the fullback spot is yours, but I can't imagine they are with how it's all going. They keep on getting these blokes to re-sign despite not having positions.
Well, because Brimo wasn't even off contract. And he extended
to
20. So maybe the only thing I can think of when I see stuff like that, like it happened with Manly and Saab, he wasn't off contract either. The only thing I can think of when stuff like that happens is they take a reduction because they've got salary cap pressures, and then they take a reduction, but they go, okay, I'll take a reduction the next 2 years, but you have to, in return, I get extended till X amount. Which we know Desi, has done before. Doesn't mind to back end a few things.
Greg Eastwood's still getting paid, isn't he?
Oh, mate, seriously. Outstanding. I thought Aaron Clark was phenomenal. I thought that he finally fulfilled his almost destiny as a 13. I think he's an out-and-out 13. I've always been surprised that they go with Liu over him. I think he's their 13. I think they should always play him there, give him time to get some reps, because I thought it was outstanding on the weekend.
That one's almost a no-brainer to me. It shocks me constantly when they pick Isaac Liu there. It's bizarre. I thought another forward that was fantastic, mate, was Beau Fermor. Obviously, and I think you said it before, that try that he scored.
That line that he ran.
That line, when he scored that try, I went, oh, okay, he's back in the back row. He wasn't. He just ran that unbelievable line.
He's playing centre.
Yeah, crazy.
I sort of mentioned it last week, we were talking Capewell Origin, but Fermor has been in the squad. He has options there, Desi Hasler, and he's going, no, I'll play Beau Fermor there. He can do it.
Yeah. And every time he does it, it shits me. I look at the team list and go, fuck, why are we doing this? But he plays so well every time.
Alrighty, we've got to talk about it. Onto the Warriors, but we'll talk about it. Look, the game was already over. They were already getting dominated. Granted, there was also another try that got disallowed that, all year that's been a try with the new rule change. As long as it stays in touch with your forearm, it's a try. That got disallowed. I've got to say, though, that 10 in the bin for Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, it was an outrageous call. That is outrageous that was 10 in the bin. And this has nothing to do with me going, oh, game's gone soft or anything like that. He barely went past the horizontal. He ended up landing on his back. I don't understand the call of there was, what did he say, a higher chance of danger or severe, something along the lines of high chance of danger. Penalty is fine. Put him on report is fine. 10 in the bin. I just thought that was outrageous. And I felt like they came to the decision really quickly. I just couldn't believe they did that.
Yeah, and I agree with you, mate. The guy that sits in the corner and yells the game's gone soft, this was Disneyland for him. It was, and I hated that about it.
If that's 10 in the bin, basically, if you tackle through the middle, you have to just drop because you can't drive at all.
Yep.
Yeah, they're very lucky that the game wasn't more on the line and it didn't impact the result. And because it was such a blowout, even the most diehard Warriors fan can't sit there and say that it impacted the result. Because if in any way there was an argument to say it could have, it would have copped a lot more headlines. It was disgraceful.
It was so bad. So, and that's where when I see decisions like that, that suggests to me that our refs and bunkers and that are not getting the adequate training, because I can't imagine a ref with adequate training would make a call like that. Because that's not a call on the fly. Like, that's watching it, mate, there's been way worse than that they just a penalty, move on. That was like... Anyway, in regards to the Warriors' performance now, like we talk about the bunker with that poor performance, the Warriors, on the other hand, a shocking performance. I tell you what, real concerns at that club. The fact that they're getting key players back and playing worse, I'm really worried about a few things. First of all, obviously, a few weeks ago, the Adam Fanua-Blake situation, very strange, very weird. Then, to my understanding, Shaun Johnson has not re-signed yet. Is that correct? Can you please confirm? That's also, I think that's all just been like swept under the rug because everything's been going really well. But that's craziness. Like, not necessarily that I agree whether he should or he shouldn't be, but the fact that their key 7 hasn't been re-signed yet suggests to me that their superstar marquee player and them are not on the same page. And I think it may be, if these, along with a couple of other things, may be affecting the team's morale and performance.
Yeah, for sure. And, there's been rumours around for a long time that Shaun's turned down a few other clubs. Like, I don't understand why this deal hasn't been done.
Well, they're clearly not on the same page. Whoever you want to agree or disagree with, I don't have really an insight on it. But the fact that their marquee pin-up boy franchise player hasn't been re-signed, which suggests that they are on massively different pages. And then you add into the fact that his form since his last 6 to whatever games just hasn't been great. They've lost, I think, the last 6 games that he's played in.
You said they're not on the same page off the field or on the field because, just as you said, Kempy, lost their last 6 by a collective 121 points that Shaun Johnson has played. And if it wasn't for what happened in between that, because that was between rounds 7 and 16, in between that, without Shaun Johnson, they beat the Dolphins, they beat the Panthers, they beat the Cowboys without other star players as well. So, again, you're not pointing the finger at one player, but that is some pretty alarming results.
Yeah, well, the thing is like individually, you could look at him and go, well, it hasn't been his fault on the field, but as a key player in a key position, as a leader, unfortunately, it just falls on your shoulder. Even if you're playing well, it just falls on your shoulders. And so I think he's picked up maybe an injury, hamstring
he's got
injury,
a tweak.
A tweak. Look, if he's got a tweak, he shouldn't play, because if you do want to make a run later in the year, SJ being fully fit is what you need.
If he's off contract and he misses 2 weeks because of this little hammy tweak, whatever it is, it doesn't sound like it's anything too serious, but with his history, as said, and the potential to make a finals run, they'll have to be cautious with it. If they come out and win 2 in a row off the back of that result, with SJ out and he's off contract, this is the bloke who nearly won the Dalian medal last year. That is going to really blur those contract extension conversations.
And isn't it, when you think about what the Warriors did last year and how exciting it was and how high we all were on the Warriors, like, imagine if they go into next year without AFB and Shaun Johnson.
Yeah, it's just crazy. But, like, I get the feeling, though, that, like, morale at the moment at that club, it's not as I said, I think that we're kind of all being a bit romanticised about what happened last year, and granted, like, we only got so much information. It's round, 16. And for the first 4 rounds, they looked great. Even though they lost those games, they looked great. But in reality, when you actually look at their season and where they're at compared to last year, like, I personally think that there's a morale concern with key players.
Isn't it interesting too, like we spoke about in the preseason? We spoke about the preseason of last year as well, like the teams that sort of jump up out of nowhere into that top 8. History tells us they struggle the next year. Last year, that was the Knights and the Warriors, 12th and 13th. I know there's been injuries and everything around that, but every team's had injuries.
Real concerns. It's real concerns at the Warriors. Like, look, if you have a big loss, usually you go, look, it's a one loss. We're not going to make big changes. A loss like this, I feel like the coach sometimes has to make big changes to send a message. Like, this isn't just it's not just we lost. It's just one of those games that didn't work out for us. Like this was 66-6 against a Titans side that's essentially at the bottom of the table. With like, who are they really missing that much in key positions? Obviously Metcalf, but he hasn't been around for a while.
DWZ, a winger.
Maybe a winger. Like, I think he's going to have to make some really tough calls over the next few weeks in key positions, to be honest.
Isn't this crazy?
All responses happen in those positions.
Yeah. The Warriors have won one more game than the South Sydney Rabbitohs this year.
Mind-blowing.
When you think about how...
And played an extra game.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Mind-blowing. So, yeah, they could be equal coming to next week or next time they buy. I think that, unfortunately, because he's in a key position, there is pressure now on SJ's spot. I think there is pressure there. With Tomato Martin playing as well as he did, I do think that there's probably pressure on SJ's spot. Just because it's not, as I said, it's not because they lost. It's just because of how they lost, how big of the loss. Like they didn't look anywhere near the side. And also, when you watch SJ play yesterday, he wasn't the reason they lost. Like their forwards just didn't turn up. But it's the key position. Everything always falls on the halfback. We praise the glory and everything that happened last year around SJ. Unfortunately, the negative side of this is that Tomato Martin's been playing there. They've got the job done. Unfortunately, at the moment, it just doesn't seem to be clicking when SJ's playing. So I personally think there's pressure on his spot. Although I hate to say it, I love SJ. I think he's so good for the game. He's a legend of a bloke, but I do think there's pressure on his spot.
It's really rare. Like yesterday, they led 30-0 at halftime, the Titans, and I think the start was like 24.5 at halftime, the live line, which not like history tells us that teams that go out to big league, they tend to slow down. They won the second half by 30 points as well. You don't see that very often.
So do you think, is there pressure in the half spot?
Yeah, for sure.
Has to be.
Yeah. Matty?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've seen in the last, 2 months of footy when Tamara Martin's gone at 7, he's been elite, and SJ's unfortunately not in the best form at the moment. So yeah, there's definitely pressure. There's pressure when you lose 66-6. There's pressure everywhere.
I think Metcalf's up and running again. I think he's still a while away. I don't know if we'll see him this year or not, but I saw him training this week. He's up and running.
Has he bought himself a bit of leeway off the back of the year he had last year? Nearly won a Dally M. Obviously, he's been in and out a little bit this year with some injuries. Maybe it is better to just take a few weeks off, get it completely right, and then try to come back in? Or do you think, Tomorrow's been good when he hasn't been there? If he has a crack and they start performing well again, maybe he is in a bit of strife.
I think that if he has little tweaks and stuff, just give his body a full rest.
Yeah.
And get him.
Agree.
Get him ready for because if they are to do damage in finals, which doesn't even look like they're going to make it at the moment, it has to with SJ playing good footy. I don't see them doing it without SJ killing it again.
Yep.
But if he's got any niggles and he doesn't feel comfortable, he needs to just park it. Now it's tough to say that though because he's playing for a contract right now. So that may be playing in his mind as well.
For what it's worth, he's been underperforming. Squad is struggling while he's played. I'd still re-sign him.
Oh, for sure.
Right now.
Depending on how much.
Depending on how much, of course.
But I would still, absolutely.
End of his career, I don't think he'd be asking for a good number, but surely he's willing to take a little bit of a pay cut to stay in NZ and finish his career there. I mean, easy for me to say that, but...
Yep.
But I think that's the other thing as well. You need to consider that, next season's not too far away now. You need to find a halfback that's willing to move to New Zealand.
See, I reckon they might be looking at Tomato Martin as
a
guy.
7.
Yeah.
If SJ doesn't re-sign, I think so. He's their 7, Tomato.
Yeah. Adam Blake, 50 minutes, 8 runs, 70 metres. Still made his tackles, 34 tackles, 0 misses. But I don't remember the last time I seen Adam Blake. When a team turns out and plays the way they did, compared to how gutsy they were a few weeks ago, it's just to me. That doesn't seem like a happy team. I feel like there's something more going on there. That's me, pure speculation, but it feels like there might be some stuff that because they were. I mean, Dylan Walker had probably the worst game I've seen him play. Like multiple tries through him. I think he had a few errors as well. I had an error.
Jazz Tavana was just
poor game as well.
Yeah,
it's very concerning. It's concerning because even RTS, 8 runs for 86 metres. In an error.
Even AFB, mate, the intent he ran the ball with was nothing like what we're used to from him.
Adam Pompey, I've been praising him this year saying, geez, he's been much better. His defence, yes, the line from a Ram was really good. But you got to get your body in front there. I know it's you're about to get absolutely oosed, but you just got to find a way. It's brave, and and then I think there was another try. He led in with some decision making on the other side. So, look, across the board, huge concern at the Warriors. This could spiral. If
you go back and look at the telecast, and in no shock to anyone, but geez, when SJ threw that intercept, the body language of just all 13 of them was just absolutely down and out.
Yeah. You don't see a team go from beating the Panthers on Magic Round with essentially a reserve grade side, and I know Panthers missing people too, to putting on that performance unless there are players that in my opinion, there's a dressing room that isn't clicking right now.
Well, there were some signs of that a few weeks ago after that game. Even Vanilla Blake missed the next game for breaching the team.
Yeah, I think there's more to it. As I said, I got no evidence. No one's spoken to me, whatever. I'm going purely off a Warriors team that looked so tight near the start of the year. Now, no longer when coming out and doing that. It feels like there's a bit of unrest there.
And also, when you look at the brand of footy they've played over the last 2 years, like a Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. on the Gold Coast. That's made for the Wars.
That last year, they win fucking 30-6.
And you're right. They have got a couple of players out, but you're also going up against the Titans side without Tino, without Brimo. Literally, their two best players.
One thing I think I'll never get sick of from Uru is just referring to it as the telecast. Such an old man's thing to do.
The interwebs.
I didn't realise.
You find this on the interwebs.
What'd you make of the telecast on the weekend?
Listening to bloke on the wireless.
Huge concerns, and it's one of those losses where messages may need to be sent with selections. It's just one of those situations where no one in this side should be safe from whatever is about to happen. So Andrew Webster's biggest test by a long way. All right, on to the next game. Roosters defeat the Bulldogs 26-8. But our LDVT60 power play of the week is Gerald Skelton for his enormous hit on Junior Ponga on the weekend. The LDVT60 has 160 kilowatts of grunt, which makes it one of the most powerful utes in its class. Auto from 38990 drive away for ABN holders. 7-year/200,000 kilometre warranty. Whichever occurs first at that price. Why get second hand when you can have a brand new LDV? Alrighty, we've got our great mate Dwayne Bennett here, mate. The Dolphins didn't get the win on Friday. How was the game, mate?
Oh, mate, it was a solid effort from the boys in the first half, but the Storm, look, they came back with some quick tries in the second half, taking the lead, and we weren't able to secure that win, mate. I know Cuzzy will get the boys fired up at training this week and ready for the big match against the Dragons on Sunday, so we're going to just wait for that.
All righty. What's the question this week, mate, from the fans?
Mate, good question from Josh. He's a Roosters supporter, and he's asking, who is the coach of the year so far? Okay.
Who is the coach of the year so far? To be honest, right now, you'd have to say Serraldo or Bennett. And I think that Bennett, if his name wasn't Wayne Bennett and if he didn't have all the runs on the board, we'd be saying him 100%. But I think the turnaround for the Bulldogs, I know they had a loss on the weekend, the turnaround from the Bulldogs from being essentially the worst defensive side or one of the worst defensive sides in the club's history to second best defence in the competition, and the fact that they most likely will land in the 8 if everything goes their way over the next 8 weeks or so, you'd probably have to say Serraldo, in my opinion. Gurut?
Yeah, I think Serraldo or Wayne are the two obvious ones. I think Wayne in particular, when you look at the amount of guys he's missing and the key guys he's missing and whatnot, he deserves a shout. I'll tell you the other one that you said then, you look at Wayne Bennett and his name and everything. Craig Bellamy's been without his fullback and his 5'8" for the vast majority of the season, still at the top of the ladder. If his name wasn't Craig, we're probably looking at him too.
Yeah.
They're probably the three for me at the moment.
What are you doing?
Yeah, firstly, little sly comment from you there, Kempy. Bulldogs likely to make the 8. It's a big early call.
Yeah, well, I'm there now. A few weeks ago, I wasn't there. I'm at the point now where I think they're likely to make, even on the weekend, it was just their errors that killed them. I think at the moment they're likely everything goes their way.
Yeah, I've got Serraldo at the moment, narrowly ahead of Wayne Bennett, as you said. And you touched on a few of the reasons there, but I just think the other one worth special mention that I don't think it'll happen, but if he can get his way to the top 8, Shane Flanagan and the Dragons, they've got the exact same record as the Bulldogs at the moment, 7-7 from 14 games. I think what's separating them for me at the moment in the early call on Coach of the Year is just like I see the Doggies finishing higher on the ladder, their defensive record, but Flano hasn't done much wrong.
I think the thing with the Dragons is just because when they're at their best, it's like high as anything, but when they're at their lowest, it's like the difference between their best, there's inconsistency. But when you actually look at where they're at on the ladder right now, they absolutely, he should be a shout for Coach of the Year.
And I think that's where if you ask people to write their ladder out at the start of the season, I think Dragons bottom 3 for just about everyone, if not last, in 9th at the moment.
All right, Dwayne, what's the weekly update on the Finlanders?
I just got to say there's a newfound excitement with Pangai Jr. joining the Dolphins too, especially after the great contest against the Storm. Fans from his previous clubs, the Broncos, Panthers and Bulldogs, they're following him and becoming a Finlander with Dolphins as their second team too. So being a Finlander is the best thing fans can do to show their support and be part of this exciting journey. And look, all you have to do to sign up to be a Finlander is to go to finland.com.au, download your digital passport on your smartphone. Don't forget, now Finlanders out there get the iconic, the magnificent budget direct Dolphin Fin, mate, and then you just listen to my announcements. It's as easy as that.
Oh, that's right. Sign up to finlander.com.au. We've got some big giveaways coming later in the year, so stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks for joining us, Dwayne. All right, let's get into this game. Look, really disappointing for the Bulldogs. They built so nicely. They'd done such a good job to kind of get themselves into the top 8 and then convince a lot of people that they'll stay in the top 8. I'm not too worried about the Bulldogs because there was a period there where there was just way too many errors that just stopped them from getting in the game. Unfortunately, Curran, who had been so good for them all year, just had a Barry, just an out-and-out Barry. Just everything didn't go his way, a lot of errors, which really hurt their momentum. They ended up finishing the game with 80% completion, but if you actually watch the game, there was a period there where they just could not get through a set. It was nightmare stuff. Look, 26-8, I know it sounds like excuses, but 26-8 against the Roosters, who are absolutely a premiership threat, I am not that concerned with that. You'd probably want to land around if in a good, let's say it was 16-8 with both teams full strength, you'd be like, yeah, that's probably where both teams are at. I wouldn't be too concerned if I'm Bulldogs fans. They've just got even against the Eels the other week, their completion rate was really low for a period of the game. They were as low as 61%. They've just got to rein that in a little bit. They don't have a good enough side on paper to withstand that kind of completion rate. So not too disappointing, but not too worrisome. In regards to the Roosters, clinical, exactly what they needed as a squad and as a club. Terrell May was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal. Sam Walker's short kicking game, is it the best in the competition? In my opinion, it is. The Roosters were clinical, got the job done, move on to next week. Good bounce back from obviously the loss a few weeks ago to the Cowboys. Was it a few weeks ago or last week?
A few weeks ago. So good bounce back on track. The Roosters are back in prime position to make a push towards the end of the year. And they actually currently, who would have thought a Rooster side, currently sitting in the top 4 with about 10 weeks to go.
Best short kicking game of players currently uninjured.
So you reckon Cleary's got a better short kicking game?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You think Sam Walker's better than Cleary's short kicking game?
I think this year he's probably shown it, yeah.
You know what I love about Sam Walker's short kicking game? It's the sort of kicking game that's effective in backyard footy.
Yeah.
Or at lunchtime when you're playing on a tennis court or something. Just the way that he manages to step off his foot and just create lanes for himself to kick into is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Doing it in the wet the other night, the way that he just dinks it off the inside of his foot and clips the top of the ball and you just can't defend it.
Well, put it this way, I think Nathan Cleary structured repeat set short kicking game is great, but I don't think he has the same arsenal of short kicks that Walker has. I think that Walker's inside, outside, stepping off your left and right
very
foot.
Unique what Walker's got.
And he's putting in spots where even if the fullback's in position, he can't get there because it's just right in the right spot. He was outstanding on the weekend, and geez, hasn't he come into his own? Comes on, bursts on the scene, everyone is sitting there going, okay, this is the next guy, and then it just doesn't seem to work out for him for whatever reason, and people start to write him off and go, a bit of a bust or whatever, and then he just comes all the way back in. What about his goal kicking as well? He's improved out of sight.
I think it was Matty Johns that said it last night, and I completely agree with him. I think that the Roosters have now started to, which they did in 2021 when they had that year where they were all injured and they went to the top 5 or whatever. I think they've lent more into Sam Walker now.
Way more into
around
Sam
you.
Walker. Yeah.
And I think for too long they were trying to make him, which is what I've said it a few times, like having Cooper Cronk on that training staff sometimes. I think sometimes they try and lean into that footy. You got a talent like Sam Walker with the squad they've got. I think you just got to let the kid shoot from the hip.
Well, I think it's a mixture of two things. Like Sam Walker being a rookie, maybe at times didn't put himself forward enough because it's very hard to do those. Like imagine being a rookie trying to tell that forward pack what to do. Like not to say that forward pack wouldn't receive the message well, but it's just one of the the resumes are as long as anything. It'd be very hard to just Hargreaves get here.
Imagine Sam Walker coming like when did he debut? 18 or 19 or something?
18 or something, yeah.
Skinny little kid, come down from Queensland and you're yelling at Jared Warrior-Hargreaves trying to tell him what to do.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I've said it a few times, like that year that he came into, the year before that he wasn't playing rugby league because of COVID. Like it's, he is one of the greatest exception, not example. He's unbelievable. Walker.
4 try assists. And
2021. He debuted.
Another guy, Terrell May. I mean, if New South Wales don't win this game, he has to be in the squad game 3. He was, and also he's got this kind of unique ability of he'll play in the middle and he'll get through all the work, but the amount of times you find him on an edge with Sam Walker or Keary with a short ball, and he's building a really good combination with both those boys being used as a weapon on halves, and it seems like an obvious thing, like the amount of times that teams should do that. They should grab a front rower and say, come out here with me, go run at that halfback over there. It doesn't really happen that often. Whereas Terrell May, I think it's second week in a row now where he is, been pulled out and had a set play for him to run at a smaller halfback. He was outstanding.
From a sort of Supercoach point of view, Kempy, like the way that you watch these forwards and everything, like you look at White over the last 2 weeks, he's been really good. He's played good minutes, and it's evident that Robbo has looked at these bye rounds and gone, Terrell, I need you to play enormous minutes in these weeks. Essentially rest yourself for those weeks leading up to it. For him to play 80 minutes against Kent, like this pack's been going great guns all year. And it's not like he had to play 80 minutes. They didn't have any injuries. They didn't have anything. He could have taken him off at any point. Left him out there. Go the full 80.
What that suggests to me is like just a methodically planned out season from Trent Robinson going, basically, all right, Lindsay Collins is going to be out. There's going to be bites here or there. Even if I'm losing a game, I'm not going to deviate from the season plan.
Does Terrell May sweat? Like he played 80 minutes in the middle.
Didn't even look like he was blowing.
Didn't look like he was blowing at all.
Yeah.
His motor is unbelievable, and they said like around that 80 minutes on the weekend with the Origin players out, 75 back in round 13 with Origin players out. In between that, one game against the Eels, 26. He played sub 40 minutes in the 3 games before that Origin 1 week. They said it's all planned out. I'm really intrigued to see the minutes he plays this week. I expect him to play not 80, but big minutes again because Collins, Crichton, all these boys, they'll be, Len, you'll be backing up from Origin. Big minutes again. You'll get through to round 18. You'll probably play 25 minutes again. They don't play around 19, but backing up from Origin 3, you'll probably go and play 75. Like I said, it'll just allow the Origin boys to get a bit of a rest coming off the back of it. It's great coach.
You can just about lock 70 minutes in for round 20, I think, after Origin.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like at the start of the season, we were going, why the hell is Terrell May playing 20 minutes? Like he was getting barely any minutes. But clearly it's all part of a plan.
If Blues get done, God forbid, in this game, pick him on the bench.
You have just because
Why not?
You got an opportunity to give a guy Origin experience so that next year you know what he's made of in the Origin arena.
Imagine having a bloke. I know Origin's a different beast, but let's say you do pick a utility on the bench, and if it might be utility back, you cover whatever, and you got a bench forward there who can come on and play 80 minutes in the middle. I'm not saying he could do it in Origin, but to me, he looks like a bloke who probably could. Like, he's phenomenal.
You know, the best thing is, too, when you have a look at his minutes throughout the year, Robbo obviously had a plan to use him for huge minutes during this period. Even when Spencer Leniu got suspended for 8 weeks, he went, no, just stick to the plan. Here's 30 minutes.
I think that, like, it must be, if I was a coach, and they obviously never would, but it would frustrate me to no end hearing guys like ourselves and analysts having all these opinions on minutes and seasons and selections. when clearly there is a meticulous plan by coaches going, they'd be pulling their hair out going, this is why there's certain players, because this, and this.
Every time I say something, I'm like, not that any coaches, I'm sure, would listen to this podcast. I'm like, God, I hope none of them listen to it.
Yeah.
They'd just be like, what are these idiots thinking?
I mean, put it this way. Imagine Robson was listening to us go, why the hell isn't Terrell May play? Why has he played 20 minutes? That's ridiculous. He's one of the best forwards in the competition. He'd be sitting there going, dickheads, it's a long season. There's a plan. There's a friggin' plan.
I was in Canberra a few weeks ago and I caught up with Ricky Stewart's son, Jed, who was playing reserve grade. And he goes, oh, mate, love the podcast. I went, your old man loved it. He goes, doesn't listen. I went, shocked me. It's probably for the best.
Would be absolutely a bad idea.
But I could see Jed walking around the house listening and his old man listening going, what the fuck
Did
are
you
these
tell him,
Pelicans
please
talking about?
don't relay anything we say to Ricky Stewart?
I got to say, though, Walker should have been in the bin.
Yep.
And it was actually outrageous that he wasn't put in the bin. If Kyrgios stays down there, let's say Kyrgios stays down and he gets taken off the field, he might have been sent.
I reckon there's every chance he gets sent off if he was injured.
It's just like I don't, guys. If we let stuff like this go, then we also lose the physical contact. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is where we need to be harsh on. Those situations where blokes are jumping off the ground. Granted, he didn't do it on purpose. It's a natural reaction. A guy steps you on your inside and you jump to grab him and it just went wrong. So I'm not saying he did it on purpose, but like those are the ones that we need to clamp down hard on, because when they go wrong, like we saw, I know he didn't jump, but Junior Palmer, when he did it with that swinging arm, they go so wrong. That was absolutely a send-off. I know it's his first offence, that's why he got 4 weeks, and so I can land on the 4 weeks is okay, but I tell you what, he's kind of lucky he did get 4 weeks, because that was terrible, that shot.
And that Sam Walker one, he stays on the field because of optics, because he's a smaller player. If that's JWH,
gone.
see you in 3 weeks.
Gone. So, it's frustrating because, the NRL are trying to do the right thing here, trying to reduce head knocks, whatever, and then sometimes they get the opportunity to do that right thing where I think most people would go, yeah, it's probably 10 in the bin. They don't. You go, what the hell? The hit from, I'm sure we all agree that was a send off immediately with Junior Ponga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think, I know it sucks. Look, I love the big hit. We saw Skelton do it. That's great. But if you're jamming in from outside in to try to put a big hit on, you better get low as anything, and you better not even think about doing swinging arms. It just, if we don't, like that's, what is that, 3 send-offs now? Dom Young, Ponga, and Suoliti in Origin. Yep. That's 3 send-offs that we've had this year. I'm trying to think, have we had a send-off, maybe 1 or 2 other send-offs this year?
No, that's it.
So 3 send-offs. They've all been outside backs jamming in. I know it would suck if we lose that part of the game, but it may be something that we do have to get rid of to keep the game as aggressive as we can in the middle.
It feels like more than 3 send-offs.
It feels like more than 3 send-offs because it's just such a dangerous tackle to be sprinting in like that on an angle, blindsiding, and the margin of error is so small. So I just think that coaches need to take extra precaution of teaching their outside backs of, if you want to come jam in and pull off a big hit, you have to get as low as Liam Martin gets or as low as Skelton gets. You need to get super, super, super low. Don't even think about the swinging arms or wrapping the ball up. It has to be straight through the middle, in my opinion, because that's 3 send-offs in a year, and they've all been outside backs trying to put a hit on, in my opinion. Boys?
Yep, completely fair. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, obviously very hard to rub out because of the nature of the game and the way that teams defend, but it could get to a point where they're obviously already saying, mate, you've got to get low. They don't want to get sent off, but yeah.
I think that the way, like, there's a difference between jamming in and jamming in to put a shot on.
Yeah.
And it may get to the point where you've just got to tell your outside backs, mate, when you jam in, you're just jamming in to make a tackle. You're not jamming in.
Also, said, get it through your head when you're doing it. You have to hit lower.
Super low.
Like, get him in around the ribs and you're still going to smoke him.
Yep. I think that this jamming in of yesteryear, where it was like almost a ball and all kind of, you're hitting a lot across the ball, I think it's just should be gone. Like, I think it should just be like, if you're going to jam in, you need to be so low that basically there's no chance of it going wrong. Because we just can't. That hit was so bad, so bad. So yeah, 4 weeks. As I said, because it's his first offence, I can understand why they landed on that 4 weeks. But if he had any other offences, honestly, I'd be happy with like 6 weeks. If he had a record this year of doing something else. But as I said, first big mistake. He didn't intentionally do it. 4 weeks I can live with. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I can do 4.
Yeah, all good.
It looked bad, that one.
It was bad.
Do you reckon that will look the worst of the 3 we've seen this year?
I personally think the Sully one looked the worst,
Yeah.
just because it was like shoulder to head and he dove
Yeah.
through him, but it looked fucking bad.
Yep.
What did you reckon?
I think I'd probably go the Dom Young one slightly.
The Dom Young one. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I thought yesterday was because of the swinging arm.
It was a swinging arm.
Last one before moving on, must be touched on that scrum play for the Dom Young try. Joey Martin and Sam Walker. Poetry in motion, rugby league.
How do you
God,
stop
was
that?
perfect. In the wet. God, that was a good try.
The only way you stop that is if you pre-read it and you just go, boys, leave one marker and you're on you're here, and you just go beeline for them.
I think we'd have the same conversation if it was dry too. It was that good.
Yeah.
Just in the wet, just adds another element.
Unbelievable.
Like in that play, I was like, fuck, I actually feel sorry for Canterbury there. Like if you can
Not much you
execute
can
that
do.
properly, you can't defend it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with a guy like Joe Manu ball playing because he's so friggin' big. You can't afford to just go, oh, yeah, I'll just let him run through. If he dummies, I'll get to him eventually. Like, no, you're getting bumped. Okay, on to the doggies. Anything else with the I thought Brandon Smith showed a lot of intent and will and want to be there, which was great. Jared Hargreaves, he was outstanding. Just showing that old dog. He's still got some tricks up his sleeve, the old dog.
And the longer this season goes, like the Roosters are going to get to the back end. I mean, are we all confident saying the Roosters are a top 4 side?
Mm-hmm. I think so. I'll be very
Yeah.
surprised if they make top 4.
And when they get to the end of the year and that emotion starts to kick in of farewelling JWH, Joey Manu, they're going to be a tough team to stop because, mate, JWH, he's not happy with 3 premierships. You can see the intent in him at the moment.
When they went on that little run where they just obliterated teams, seeing that they're capable of that and they're doing it so early, finals time they are going to be a monster to deal with.
It's Kiri, Manu, and JWH. Like once that farewell tour kicks in, a lot of emotion there.
Okay, on to the doggies. Okay, as I said, like just errors in key moments. Curran unfortunately had one of his worst games, but I'll tell you what, if there's one bloke in this Bulldogs squad that's earned a Barry Crocker, you know what? He walked in on the office this morning and he just threw the Barry Crocker card on the table. And the coach said, you know what? We're not even going to do video session on it, mate. You've earned that Barry Crocker card. You know what? You should give a Barry Crocker card out to each player that earns it. And they get to play it whenever they want.
How filthy was he on himself?
Oh, as he would be. He's been so good.
So good. Yeah.
And I know Bulldogs fans were going, shit, you've been so good, but you made me so mad by making that error. But he's earned it. He's earned the Barry Crocker card.
Would it be on the card? Would it be Mick Crocker's body with Barry Berrigan's head morphed onto it? How would you do it?
It would be that, but it'd be hands as feet. So you'd have feet for hands in the picture. And
Would you have Brendan Hands' head on the hands?
I don't know if he's established himself enough as a first grader. Scotty Minto's head, just for a bit of shits and gigs.
Barry O'Farrell's head. Sorry, a bit political.
Not a political podcast.
If anyone out there could also just mock up that sum, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay.
Barry Crocker.
Okay, to the doggies. I got to say, I was really surprised that Burton started in the centres. That made no sense to me. Surely there's a junior centre out there that could have filled the role. Now, maybe they're just smashed with injuries, which I'd understand, but I just was not a fan of the Drew Hutchinson Sexton combination, in my opinion.
I could not believe that's what they went with.
I was shocked. I was like, what's going on? What, is he just like injured or something? I thought someone got injured.
And you know what? Like, even if you don't have an outside back, play Jamin Salmon there. Don't move your star player out of 5'8".
Very strange. Very strange.
Like they've got Hayes Perham in reserve grade. He's probably the only one out of those guys you would have taken there. But once again, I would have played Salmon there every day of the week. Just get him to do a defensive job in the rain and keep Burton at 5'8". Like they moved him there later in the game once it got urgent. I can't believe he didn't start.
They'd been building such a nice combination, him and Sexton.
Yeah.
Am I remembering right, Eli Clark pre-season killed it?
Yeah, he did do well. He played reserve grade too.
Well, I haven't seen how he's gone in New South Wales Cup this year, but...
Honestly, they could have been going just average in New South Wales Cup and I still would have put a centre there over moving Burton to the centre.
Yeah.
Did not understand that at all.
Yeah, hard to work out what the logic was there. Because I love Matty Burton, but if you I think Matty Burton's one of those players that if you give him an opportunity to be sort of passive,
He will.
he'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll
Especially in the wet and like
Yeah.
that. Like, you needed to get him into the game.
I mean, just like I don't understand. Him and Sexton had built such a good combination. And like unfortunately, I didn't think Hutchinson had a very good game. I don't think the Sexton Hutchinson combination can work. I think this is Sexton's side. I think you need to just fully give him the keys. I think Hutchinson makes a outstanding 14 if you want to put him there. But yeah, unfortunately, it just didn't work for me.
I thought so, even from like just a very basic point of view, like in those weather conditions when they're struggling to score points, I want Burton put that bomb up every single time, and I want him in the best position to be able to do it.
Yeah, it's big ball running 5'8". You don't want to play too expansively, just run the ball.
Yeah, very, very strange. Okay, outside of that, our boy Kiraz. That try, we just went, there's nothing doing, bang, off the left foot, big, thanks for coming, see you later, on Ponga's chest. And then obviously the flick pass, or the pass, anyway, the pass to the try, essentially a try assist. He doesn't get counted for it, but it's a try assist. Mate, Kiraz for me, if I see him in a Blues jersey, like if there's injury or whatever, in the next 24 to 36 months, wouldn't be surprised.
I'll probably let you talk about him. I know you love him.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, he's always been such a goer and had such a high work ethic. And you know you'll have 25 runs a game, you'll bust tackles and he'll offload, he'll finish well, all that sort of stuff. But this was the first moment also moving from the wing back to centre because Sherry and Critter were both out. The fend, the awareness just to get the ability to get the 2-on-1 out of nothing, the timing of the pass to Skelton, everything about it was so classy, along with being one of the most powerful plays I've seen from Kiraz. What a brilliant play. He's got rep honours written all over him.
Yeah, and also like Origin type player.
Yeah.
Like he's never going to shy away from the contact and the physical stuff of Origin. He was so good. And also, I think there's still so much room for improvement in his game. Like he gets through a bunch of work, as you just suggested, but on the weekend, and we've seen it to a degree before, but just to have that game-breaking ability in him, you don't see it that often with Kiraz. It's more about just the amount of work he gets through, that he puts himself in enough positions to do something great. But that was purely just like, I'm going to break the game here on my own. If he can build on that even more, I just, as I said, granted, you've got Latrell Mitchell and Stephen Crichton. They're going to be very, very hard to move out of those centres positions. But if there's an injury or whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if you see him in there.
He's a classic, would never let you down.
Well,
No
You
way.
picked him there.
I think his best position is on the wing. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he plays centre, as we saw, seriously well. But I still love him at fullback where he just roams and just runs whenever he wants. And he must take such a workload off the pack.
Oh, massively. And we're just seeing more and more often how important that high work rate outside back is. Yeah, I thought it was outstanding. Skelton. Still, the funny thing about Skelton is that it's really obvious the rough edges to his game, but when he gets it working and when he gets into his groove, he is an absolute monster on the wing. A monster on the wing. Defensively, we obviously saw the big hit, but he's runs out of his own end, and he also took a scoot that led to, I think, a try as well, where he took a scoot and he ball played a little bit early in the game. He's got a try assist here, plus obviously the intercept try where he ran the length. Big body. On the flip side of that, there was nearly a 40-20 on the fourth tackle where he wasn't back. So it's all those little things that he'll develop as he plays more footy, that clearly that's what's been holding him back from getting into first grade. Is just learning about positioning as a winger and, on the fourth tackle, when to drop back, or noticing that you're playing a halfback that likes to kick early, so make sure you get back early. Basically, as a winger, you want to be on a pendulum. So, if the ball's on the other side of the field, you want to be coming in so that the fullback can go across and then you can cover that area. Little things like that, he'll learn it. Once he gets that all sorted, one of the best wingers in the competition. If he can sort all that, because he is a fucking problem.
I feel like for the last 2 or 3 years, I sort of every 4 or 5 weeks on this show, we go and I bring up his stats in New South Wales Cup, and it's always been the little errors and the little defensive things that have held him back. But he's played 11 games in Cup this year. He scored 9 tries and had 15 line breaks, 57 tackle breaks in 11 games.
He's a problem.
Mate, he might not be the greatest defender. He might have an error in him, but I cannot believe... And you know what? At Canterbury, I get it because I've got so many good outside backs. How there aren't other clubs in this competition that aren't taking a punt and going, you know what? I'll back us to rub out a couple of
Yeah.
errors. It's beyond me because he's a guy that could go to a different club just with a half opportunity, and he could be top try scorer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he's got Greg Marzhew written all over him, doesn't he?
He does,
Just
yeah.
Absolutely destructive winger, the exact same style with defensive deficiencies. But as you said with Skelton, he's coming from rugby union. Like, he played rugby sevens, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, it's going to take time to learn the intricacies of defending on the wing in the NRL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's 16 runs, 241 metres, 43 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, a line break assist, an offload, 4 tackles, only 1 miss, and an error. Like, I think that if I'm the Bulldogs, I'm doing anything I can to get one of the best outside backs, like ex-outside backs, to come down the next preseason and just be one-on-one with him. Like, do one-on-one. I remember when I was coming through, and honestly, I don't think I would have debuted as early as I did without Mick Hancock taking me aside, putting me under his wing, teaching me all the little things on how to scoot and all that kind of stuff. Granted, he brought the other boys in to do it too, but he put a real emphasis on helping me out. I cannot express how important those one-on-one relationships are with special, not just like, oh, we've got this fullback or we've got this, 6 or 7 that knows a little bit about being an outside back. A specialist winger that can go down there and teach him all the little details about the game, like Mick Hancock did for me. As I said, I don't think I would have debuted at 19 if Hancock didn't take a liking to me. And he was just doing that off his own bat, Mick Hancock. Like, he genuinely owed my debut to his just off his own bat, taking me down, showing me how to do things and just backing me. And I think the Bulldogs should do that with Skelton.
He's probably got a pretty good one there in Josh Adokar to kind of teach him and play a bit of a mentor role with him there as well. So, yeah, very exciting prospect.
I think you might have a tough little period when you first bring him in, but boys, the way we're describing him, that was Greg Marzhew 2 years ago. You know who else it was? Dom Young 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Errors and couldn't defend, and it was always a huge issue. But rep on rep on rep in first grade, now he's one of the best wingers in the competition.
Also, Young and Marzhew still both have defensive issues.
Yeah, but they're heaps better than what they were.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to be perfect.
You don't
if you're that destructive in attack, we'll give you the odd one.
Manu Vadavai went a whole career with not the best defence.
Yeah.
And also a couple errors here and there. And you just went, you know what, we'll cop that because he wins games for us.
Yeah.
Skelton's not making as many errors as what Manu used to.
No.
And just before we do move on, Doggies look at the 18-point margin. It was 4 tries to 2 against title contenders in the Roosters. In
Not
the
too
wet,
bad.
like, they kicked no goals. Sammy Walker nailed all his, end a penalty goal. It's not a bad result.
Yeah. All right, that's the show for the day, guys.
No.
We've still got the worst and the best game to come.
We've got to do the tips.
I'll go to Raiders Tigers.
Raiders Tigers too.
Before we get into the next game, don't forget, grab a case of Bloke beer. It's a beer for blokes to turn up for family, mates, and good times. It's Aussie spirit in a can, so make sure to get your local liquor store. Grab a case of Bloke beer. Beautiful, easy drinking lager. We've got the midi, the full strength, both. Beautiful beers. Also, just put your little shekels aside. In about a month's time, might be a little drop happening, so stay tuned for that. Anything else that we got? Oh, also, Game 2 Origin, so only 2 days away. Wow, it's coming quickly. We will be doing a live show on YouTube as soon as the game ends, reviewing the game. Myself, Mitch Pearce, Timmy, Matty, and Hammy. So make sure to be there. Okay, South defeat Manly 14-0, 14-zip. Look, this game, obviously, a bit of a tough watch at times, a bit of a slog for people that aren't necessarily fans of either side. But Souths do what they do. They keep winning. What is it, 4 on the trot now? 4 on the trot now. They look substantially better than they have in previous weeks. And, if you said this team is going to do this, 4 or 5 weeks ago, you would have said you're off your head. They got the job done. I thought Keon Koloamatangi has been an absolute revelation. In the middle, I think that's absolutely, in a side that is not necessarily a top 4 side right now, he has to stay in the middle. I think he is either a 13 or a front rower from here on out unless you've got some young guy coming in that is like a top tier and you can afford to move him out to the edge. But at this stage, I know Totola's got to come back, all that. But
He's not coming back.
He's not coming back?
Yep.
Wow.
He's out for the year, apparently.
Okay. Well, even like next year with Totola coming back, there's an argument to be made that Keon Koloamatangi, he is the man that this forward pack should be built around. That's how good he's playing. Like, I haven't seen a forward play, like a front rower, play like this for the Rabbitohs probably since peak Tommy Burgess. And even then, was he putting up this many minutes and this many numbers? I don't think he was. So it has been a very long time since I've seen a front rower /13 do what we're seeing Keon do at the Rabbitohs. And I think there's a real opportunity for them to go, you know what, we can build a forward pack around this bloke and just go all the way in with him because he has been phenomenal.
Plenty of rumours surrounding to that Ewan Aitken could join South Sydney, and if he does, I think that is writing on the wall for Keon. I think that absolutely locks him into the front row.
Love that.
Which would be sensational.
So you'd have Keon in the front. So you'd have then Aitken on one side. Who would you be the edge back rower?
Arrow, Matty, or do you want him in the
Yeah,
middle?
Joe Arrow.
I fucking love Arrow in the middle as well.
Oh, I love it in the middle too, but
I reckon you just put a Tallis Duncan out there or just a guy that can get through some defence and you just stack your middle.
They could have one of the best middles in the comp if they end up having Keon there, Cam Murray, Totola when he comes back next year. It's very strong, but I said they're desperate for an edge. I think we all agree we want Jai Arrow in the middle. He plays his best footy there, does a job on the edge, but he's a middle forward.
Yeah.
And you said Tallis Duncan, we don't really know exactly what his future looks like and where he's best suited. But if they could land Ewan Aitken, they'd probably get him at a reasonable price as well. Not only would he cover any backline injuries as well, they could probably carry that 4-forward bench. I don't know if they want Mamazelos to play the full 80, but God, he'd be a good signing for them.
Yeah, great signing, yeah.
And I think that you've got enough strike power. Like with Aitken, he's enough strike power to just pick a good defensive, which Wayne we know can do. Like he can pick a guy out of Queensland Cup that's a good defender on the edge, and you just say, mate, you're here to do what Kafusi did for a lot of years at the Storm. You're here to defend and be a good communicator to your outside men. You don't need to, I think Arrow's wasted out there. I really do. He is in the middle, on the field, as much as, imagine a front row rotation of Arrow, Totola and Keon Kalamatangi. That is as good as anyone in the competition. That is bloody good. The only, even with Broncos losing Flegler, that's probably the only 3 rotation that you would say is better. Obviously, you've got Fisher Harris and Leota rotating with Lindsay Smith. Obviously, Fisher Harris and Leota are the best front row combination in the competition, but the whole rotation, when you include Lindsay Smith, who's good and solid, it's not far off it. Let's put it that way.
You add in Davey Moali, who I think he's gone from strength to strength.
Yep. And also the good thing about Keon being in your front row rotation is if anything happens at all to your edge back rowers, boom, you just go straight out there. Or Cam Murray needs a break, you put him in at 13. It's just crazy how the Rabbitohs, for me, have gone from me saying, look, if people think Dwayne Bennett's just going to walk in and make this team great, I was saying that 6 weeks ago. I was going, look, that roster is nowhere near what it was when he was there, to going, holy shit, he genuinely could walk straight in and they could be straight back into the premiership business.
I have very little doubt they're not going to be straight into the premiership business.
Did you feel like that 6 weeks ago, though? Did you feel like
I
Wayne
wasn't
was
as strong on it as
in?
you were, but I could see where you were coming from, 100%, because this team was just, they looked like they didn't want to be there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Whereas now I'm looking at the roster going, he actually may walk in next year and the roster's better. I guess the only question is around that organising 7, with Lockie Ilias looking like he's on his way out.
I think you've got your 7.
I'd
be running like this with Cody.
Yeah.
I like Cody at 7.
Yeah, I reckon stuff and organising 7. Just get Cody and Jack in there.
Yeah, I think Cody's well and truly up to doing the job. We just spoke about Jerome Hughes for 45 minutes. If he can do it, I'm very confident that a Cody Walker at the age he's at with what he's seen, I'd be more than happy to have Cody there.
I mean, I was pro putting Cody Walker in there friggin' round 4.
Yep.
To be fair, similar enough career trajectory if he does make the move to Sean Johnson. I know Sean Johnson made the move from a flamboyant 5'8" to that organising halfback role a bit earlier than Cody did, but the way he's done it has been remarkable. So Cody doesn't necessarily have to hit SJ's heights of being able to get a team around the park, but there's no reason why he can't make the move. As you said, with the experience that he's got.
Yeah. So, look, really exciting times for South. Was it the highest quality game? No, probably not. But there's a lot to like. Jai Gray, 18 runs, 198 metres, 60 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 6 tackles, 0 misses. A couple of errors, but that's going to be part of his game as he develops. So he was outstanding. I think Moali, the more games he gets under his belt, he just gets better, more confident. On the weekend, he had 139 runs from 13 runs. So 13 runs, he's averaging more than 10 metres a run, 58 post contact, 30 tackles, only 1 miss and no errors. mate, that's great.
He's right on the edge, isn't he?
Yeah.
Of just becoming a starting front row forward in the NRL.
Yep, absolutely. Ironically, I know he's on the move, but Damien Cook I thought was really, really good on the weekend. He got the job done and just he looked like he had a point to prove, rightly so. Got to talk about it because, look, it wasn't. I don't know if it swung the match because obviously Rabbitohs ended up winning, but like how Jairo gets shouldered in the head, has to go off for a HIA, but there's not a penalty. And look, I know the commentators try to say that it was because his head hit the ground. It's like, are we watching the same replay? He literally just got shouldered into the head. It's tough because you just want consistency. And how is it fair on the Rabbitohs that he has to go off the field now? Imagine if they lost that game from that point on because it was still in the balance then. Imagine if they lost because Jairo goes off, but he didn't get a penalty for getting hit in the head.
Yeah, it's wild.
Just doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense.
Just on Damien Cook, I feel like over the years he's probably had to take a little bit of a backseat with his running game because of the strike power around him in Latrell Mitchell, in Cody Walker, in all these stars. And that suited the team, and I'm not against that at all. And I think it's been quite selfless the way he's done it because his strength always has been his running game. I feel like in recent weeks he's gotten back to that running game a little bit. So just a few numbers around it. The first 7 games of the year, I think they won 1 game in that period. He ran for over 70 metres. That was the game they beat the Bulldogs. Comfortably his most for that period. 6 games since round 10, he's run for over 82 metres in 5 games for 4 wins. He had tight losses to... 6 games. I think it was 4 wins in 6 games. Tight loss to the Cowboys, not too far off the Dragons. You know, when your team's going well and the middle's rolling forward, you're going to run for more metres as number 9. I get that, but I really feel like he's taken impetus on him with Origin players out, other things going on, to run the ball more. He's averaged 93 metres in his last 3 games. Yeah. I just think they've looked a better side off the back of it.
Yeah, no, agreed. I'd
be encouraging him to run the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Kepi, I thought, had one of his better games of the season. Started the year really well, and then he struggled, bounced back. It was against Manly, so obviously got a point to prove. But I guess if you're the Rabbitohs, you're going to Sean Kepi, you're saying, mate, there was no errors. You can do it. It's an important game. You got up for the Manly. I thought he was much better on the weekend. And again, if he can deliver his best footy and get consistent, what a bloke to have in backup. If he can play his best footy when you've got your full strength side ready to go. Like even look at the weekend, like Cheekham played 11, like he got his job done, made his tackles. Like that's all you bloody need.
Cheekham's had a good couple of weeks.
Hey?
Cheekham's had a good couple of weeks. It was good against the Bronx as well.
Doing his job on the edge there. Like that's all you need at the Rabbitohs is just a bloke like Cheekham that's just going to get through his tackles, have 8 to 10 runs, and you're good. Really, really important. I am really confused at Tallis Duncan and like, where do they see him? Because for me personally, this was going to be his breakout year. Like this was for me, if I was selecting the Rabbitohs side, by the end of the year, we'd all be going, Tallis Duncan has had a breakout season. I just don't think, I feel like he's not getting the opportunity that I probably would have tried to give him. Now, obviously, clubs know way more than us and they see more footage and they see him at training, but I'm still quite surprised that just when he comes on, it seems to me that he plays well. So I don't get it.
And the thing is with it that, when it was JD as coach, I thought, okay, maybe this is a JD thing that he's not a big fan. But now he's had a different coach for a number of weeks now and his role hasn't changed at all, which makes me think maybe there is more to this than what we're seeing.
I mean, he is still relatively young. It could just be a patience thing.
Which, to be fair, that's exactly what they did with Davey Miley as well.
Yeah,
like,
they've been
we've
quite
had to be patient with him.
But look how much better Miley's got with some more game time under his belt.
Yep, no, I completely agree. It's just it is interesting that we've now had a change of coach and they're doing things quite differently, and that role still hasn't changed.
I mean, he's been getting more minutes though. Like there was periods where he wasn't even the bloody side earlier in the year.
Yeah, he didn't even start the year.
Yeah,
and then he got dropped a couple of times, which was crazy to me. To me, it seems like the evidence is there that he just hasn't. They don't see him as an edge, or they don't. They certainly don't see him as an edge this year. Like. Souths have been crying out for edges all year, like with our injury crisis, and Tallis Duncan hasn't been put there once. So he must have just trained in the middle all off season.
They're crying out for one even more now that Keon's been so successful at the middle.
Exactly, yep.
Crying out for it, and he's made the move to the middle where it looks like that's his place. So they need an edge even more now.
Obviously outside looking in, but I would love if in the preseason they just say to him, all right, Keon, you're a middle, Tallis, you're an edge, and then he can just start there.
Because we spoke about, actually funny, we spoke about who can play edge just before about if Keon moves into the middle. an Aiken-Duncan edge. I'm happy with that. Freaking really happy with that.
For sure.
I mean, Wayne Bennett will get the best out of him. I just want to talk quickly about Keon's stats. A try, 23 runs, 250 metres, 106 post-contact, a tackle break. So he did all this with only one tackle break. 39 tackles, only one miss. He is made for, he's a guy also that if New South lose game 2, he's got to be in the squad next game 3. Him, Terrell May, you just got to give him a crack.
Well, he was in the side game 3 last year. He was great.
He killed it. So really, important win for the Rabbitohs. Wasn't necessarily the highest quality, but they got the job done. That's all that needed. They were missing players like Latrell, key player. I know, Sea Eagles were missing much more players, but, if you can just find wins, all of a sudden, who knows where the Rabbitohs could be by the end of the year. Great win. On to the Sea Eagles. Look, I'm not too harsh on the actual performance because they are missing so many people. I'm more concerned about roster management and selections in regards to the Manly side. Look, they fought hard, yet they had not much in attack, well, not anything in attack, obviously didn't score. Just really concerned that, so our understanding that Jake Arthur is injured, but they've got Humphreys that's been playing 7 in New South Wales Cup since that injury. Now, Humphreys, he grew up playing in the halves. He played really well in the trials in the halves, correct, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think trials he was at 9, wasn't he? Or
he had a bit of time in the halves in one of the games.
Actually, he did play in the halves up at Gosford, didn't he?
Yeah.
First trial.
Yeah, fair.
And he killed it. They smashed the Rabbitohs reserve grade. So he grew up playing it. I just find it a bit concerning roster management-wise, and I had the same questions in regards to the Eels as well when they had some players go down, that there isn't a 7, or at least 1 or 2 7s ready to go to slot in if your main guy goes down. They ended up going with, now Carl Lawton got named at 7, but he played on an edge, and Tommy Talau ended up playing 6, I think, and Luke Brooks ended up playing 7, or 6 or 7, whichever it is. Brooks obviously took over the kicking. So my biggest question is, why wasn't Humphreys selected?
This is so bizarre to me, and it's one of them ones that it makes such little sense. There's obviously reasoning behind it for some reason, and why Humphreys didn't get a crack, because he's this really highly touted half who's spent time. They tried to sort of transition him to hooker. I think probably coincided a little bit with Luke Brooks signing and going, all right, well, Ches and Luke Brooks are going to be our halves for a couple of years to come now. Jamie Humphreys has gone back to the halves recently. On the weekend, Humphreys in reserve grade scored a try, converted 6 from 7. He had 2 try assists, a line break, in a 42-20 win over the Rabbitohs. And they played Tommy Talau in the halves. What is going on?
That is bizarre. That's unfortunate. I believe that's poor coaching. It's poor selections.
I said it's so bizarre that I'm like, there's something we don't know.
Because Manly were quite open in wrapping him at the start of the year, to the point where we thought he might get that 14 role.
Mate, when I was over there in Vegas and I was on the red carpet interviewing people and I was saying, who's the CBA to watch? I had to edit out people saying Jamie Humphreys because it was getting boring. There was too many. Every single Manly person, from player, staff, former players, all just praising him till the cows come home.
Now, there's whispers that he may be signing with another club. Have we all heard those whispers? Yep.
He'd have to be, because if he's not getting played there.
But then it's like, so what? You got to win matches. Manly are not in the position to be spiteful that a kid is going to sign somewhere else. If that is the case, we don't have it. This is just speculation. But unfortunately, with such a big decision and a key player that was so prominent in the preseason trials, us analysing the game, we have to ask these questions. Why wasn't he selected? And I'm sure Manly fans are sitting there going, look, the loss, we understand the loss, but why wasn't he selected? If we're going to lose 14-0 when we're missing, there's something like 10 first graders, something massive. I think most Manly fans sit there and go, look, it just is what it is. We've got injuries, okay. But I think most Manly fans are probably sitting there going, well, why we got Tommy Talau, who's been outstanding on the wing and had career best year. What's he doing in the halves over a guy like Humphreys, who's in reserve grade, playing 7 right now and also playing well at 7? Even if he wasn't playing well at 7, at least surely you just put a New South Wales Cup level 7 in to fill the hole.
It's unfortunate that you are seeing this a bit now with reserve graders that have signed elsewhere, not getting, like, it took Sanders ages to get into that Parramatta side. They tried a few different combos. Tamale, who's down at the Dragons, he can't seem to buy a bait because he's going to the Raiders too. It's in this situation, though, when you've got all these guys out,
You're fighting for the 8.
bizarre. Yeah.
Last 4 New South Wales Cup games, he's had 6 try assists and 3 tries, and they've won 3 on the trot.
And what's his defence like? Have you got his defence up?
Just quickly, his margins in those games, they beat the Bunnies by 22, they beat the Dragons by 12, and they beat the Knights by 20. Defensively, missed tackles 3-2-1.
There's got to be more to it. I just think that, like...
You'd have to assume he's on the road somewhere.
Which is, like, again, Manly can't afford to be going, because you've signed somewhere else, we're not playing you.
Yep.
Because, like, look, I'd get it if, like, let's say there was a young 7 or even a veteran 7 or half, like 6 or 7, that they were like, because you're signing somewhere else, we're going to give a guy that's going to be a part of this squad next year opportunity. But, like, they're putting Tommy Talau in the halves. It's not, they're not stacked. Bizarre. So I'd love to know what's going on there. Outside of that, like, look, it's really hard to be critical of Manly because they are missing so many players. I mean, you could talk to specific points. I think Kula went for an intercept. They scored a try. I don't know. I think he actually went for a couple of intercepts, which was almost uncharacteristic of Kula. He's actually been one of the better defensive centres.
I wonder if it was him just chasing the game and chasing points or something.
Maybe the message from Seabold was, look, we don't really have a 7. Guys, wherever you can get points, let's just get them.
I know in the lead up to Origin 1, there was a lot of discussions about, where you play guys left and right centre and everything. Fuck, I reckon Kohler, like, he looked like one of the best defensive centres at right centre. Move him to left, he's been a little bit off this year. Like, if you don't think that matters, you're missing something.
Which is surprising, because why bring a debutant Aaron Schopp into the other side when you can move him, give Kula an opportunity on his natural side. Saab, him running into his own. He must not have known where he was when he ran into his own dead ball and he got tackled. Yeah. Just fall on the ground. He just a brain explosion there.
My one probably critique, and I'm with you, Kempy. I'm not going to be too harsh on him because of all the players out, the conditions. Like there was a lot of players who would have started the year in reserve grade, but I just thought it was a great opportunity for Luke Brooks to probably step up without Daly Cherry Evans there. A winger playing in the halves with him. Just to take a bit more control, particularly in attack, get around the field, score 0 points. I don't think, with his experience at NRL level, I think he needed to step up a lot more than he did.
Well, I just think that, like, he is just out and out, not a 7, and it's almost like, don't even consider it. Like, he's had so many years to be a 7. He's an out and out 6. But I agree with you. With his experience, surely he can find a way to get some points. Like, even if make it ugly. Very, very... It almost like when he gets put in a position to, like, lead the team around, it's almost like it just messes with his head a little bit, and he goes away from what he does best, which is his running game.
And I get what you're saying there. He's now 5'8". I think we saw that with Dill Brown a few weeks ago too. Yeah. But I still, like, you're a natural ball player. I still think they should be able to jump into the 7 job and just make a fist of it.
Well, I mean, at least Dylan Brown was getting, like, some points on the board.
Yeah.
And also, Dill's like 22, 23. So look, it's hard to be too critical of Manly. Got so many people out. Is what it is. Okay, on to Tigers defeat the Raiders. We've already seen that. We've already seen, just got in our notes here, Timmy walking out of the stadium.
Now, before we do start on this one, and I'd appreciate an honesty policy from everyone, I just went for a whiz before, and there was Tigers highlights blaring from a cubicle in there. Does anyone want to take accountability?
It actually wasn't me. I've already rewatched the game a couple of times.
Oh, it was you.
I like to rewatch
just
to refresh my...
I was hoping it was him.
Oh. Really?
It wasn't me.
No, that was me.
I did watch a full replay when I got home last night, though. Did you watch one as well, Timmy?
I don't enjoy pain.
No, that was me. I like to just have a quick little squiz just to get the vibe and the feel of the game.
That didn't go how I thought it would.
Look, mate, I'm a professional, all right? That's what you should take away from this. Instead of trying to bring your good mate Queenslander down. It must be the Origin energy that he's...
I think it might be.
It's all right. Got him rattled. New South Wales are rattled. Okay. Tigers defeat the Raiders 48-24, and, like, wow. Who saw that coming? Not me, that's for sure. You?
Not really, to be honest, not that comprehensively. So it was a pleasant surprise. It actually could have been a lot more. There's a couple of tries denied. There was one or two really close kind of held ups. I said it to Timmy at halftime. I was like, we probably should have 3 or 4 more on the board here. It's got all the marks. We'd lost 10 in a row at Campbelltown. We hadn't beaten the Raiders in ages as well. But thankfully, they were able to keep coming and got the right result.
The story of the game for me, Adam Doueihi returns. 14 months off, 3 ACLs later. He had a try assist, 14 runs, 212 metres, 40 post contact, 5 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, an offload, 8 tackles, only 2 misses, and no errors. Look, it is only one game, but I do think there is something to be said about a very dominant voice. Is he necessarily compared to other teams? Would he be considered a senior player? No, I don't think he would be. But compared to what the Tigers have right now with all the injuries that you've got, because that's the crazy thing is that Tigers are smashed with injury right now.
Yeah.
And the Raiders are, outside of obviously Fogarty, relatively good. And so the story, the importance of having a senior player that is very, very vocal on the field, I think that he might be just what they need to keep these younger players honest on the field, because they were playing with way more energy than they have all season long, especially the young forwards that were coming on. They were, it wasn't just I'm just going to do my job, and if there's an inside chase I need to make, I'll clock off here. Everything was at a high energy, and I think Adam Doueihi might have had something to do with that.
Isn't it crazy with Adam Doueihi? He was the dominant voice and the leader in this side 2 years ago to me. He was 23 then. He's 25 now.
Still young ass.
It's crazy. I personally think, mate, I've always said it, I don't think he's a ball player. I don't think he's a 5'8".
He's a centre.
Centre is his spot, and he can make a real home of it here.
Yeah. I know he wants to be in the halves, and he's just being honest, and you want competitors to be honest, and, if they want to be in that, you'd rather them be that open about it than be real meek about it. But I think he actually, in today's game, with, his decent ball-playing ability, I think he can make a great centre. And also, almost a bit of a roaming centre at some stages. To get in there and link up and be a bit of a link man at times. I think that in today's game, with how much you can actually move around, especially as an outside back, he can become one of the better... Well, I don't know if he'd become in the top tier of centres, but put it this way, he can become invaluable to this team, where a lot of... He may not... points may not be as much around him as they would if he was number 6, but he can still be an integral part where when he's not there, you can really feel the difference. There's a lot you can do from centre, especially in a team that doesn't necessarily have other superstars that take up all the slack. For example, it's not like Buller is a Teddy or an Edwards or a Latrell. Buller is also a rookie, so you can go in and take some of those runs on if you want to. I think he's an out-and-out centre, and even when he made that break, I was actually quite surprised at how quick he was. I thought that we would see, because of the injuries, that he would actually struggle, but he looked quick, he looked explosive, he looked good in contact. He was great.
Yeah, I think he's, in this current Tigers team, I think he is an out-and-out. Well, I think his best position is centre. Moving forward, maybe it is his best position, but I'm not willing to put a line to him being a really top quality number 6 in the NRL either. I do think it needs to be with the right halfback. I think it needs to be with a traditional, really good organising number 7 with a good kicking game where he can focus on swinging both sides and running the ball and being that type of 5'8". You don't want him organising and having to worry about getting a team around the park. But at the Tigers right now, who have Luai coming, Galvin's a star, Latu Fainu in the ranks, Caesar at 7 at the moment, you don't need him to play halves. They've been so weak defensively as well on the edges for a few years now. He's exactly what they need at centre. Yep. Moving forward, though, I'm not so convinced he can't go back to 5'8".
Yeah, I disagree. I think he's an out-and-out centre. I think he's made for it. I watched him play quite a lot. And look, granted, he was playing 6 and halves in a team that was just busted.
And he killed it.
And but there were, I just see him as a centre. I think he's a centre. I think he can make a solid 6 in the NRL. I think that he can make himself, I don't know about a top tier quality, and I'm probably going to eat my words like I did with friggin' Herbie Farnworth, but he can be super, super crucial to his side, and he can be one of those players that, you build clubs around players like Adam Doueihi. You build clubs around him. And who knows, you know what? as I said, I've been wrong before. Maybe he can be a top-tier centre.
Well, if he lands at left centre next year outside Jerome Luai, it hasn't been a bad spot in the past for centres.
Especially when
he played left centre yesterday, right?
Yep.
He's played most of his career down the right, yeah? When he's been playing 5'8". Yeah,
Certainly in recent years.
in recent years, yeah. I thought it was interesting to see him pull up on the left.
Adam Dewey in 2021 was his last season where he played a lot of games. Played 20 games in the halves. He scored 9 tries and had 17 try assists in an ordinary Tigers outfit. That's pretty good going.
It's good going, but I just remember vividly that when he's in at 6, he can't help himself but be the ball is always in his hands. And I just think that he's too dominant for what they've got right now, the Tigers. And I just don't know if he's got enough runs on the board to go to another club and be the key man with a really, like, for example, let's say you take Dearden out and you put him with a guy like Townsend, who is a really structured 7. I just don't know if he's got the next level in him like Dearden does to be the attacking weapon at 6. I like him at centre.
I think he's an out-and-out centre. I get that where you come from with those stats, mate, but when he was playing 5'8", I thought everything was very premeditated, and I'd be very interested in how many of those stats are against the good sides.
And I just remember watching that going, like, he has a red-hot crack, and I love watching him play. He's one of those guys you love watching play, but it was just almost like, it's hard to compare, but like Tedesco at times, where you'd be like, mate, just take a step back and fit a little bit into the structure. In saying that, as I said earlier, that could have been because the Tigers were terrible, and he was just needing to do that because no one else was getting in the friggin' system. So I'm not saying it was his fault. I just think that he's got everything you need to be a bloody good centre.
His halfback, his halves partner at the time, Luke Brooks, who we literally just said is an out-and-out 5'8", who shouldn't be running a team. So maybe.
That could have been it. That could have been it.
Yeah.
And as I said, just like the Herbie Farnworth situation, I'm happy to be wrong because I love Dewey as a player and he's a legend of a bloke. But I just think as a centre, he's big, he's explosive, he's got a great tip on. He doesn't have to worry about any of that other stuff, doesn't have to worry about his kicking game. Wasn't the best kicking game either. He can just go, I need to run hard, tackle hard, and just put points on the board. But I'm happy to be proven wrong.
I think Benji's made the right decision.
Put him at centre?
Yep, I agree. Geez, he's quick too.
Well, I think in Timmy's defence, he's saying for the Tigers he's a centre. He's saying
Definitely wouldn't have him in the halves at the Tigers
he's
right
saying
now.
at another club, maybe he could be a 6. Which, look, as I said, way crazier things have happened, and I've been wrong before, so could be wrong about that. But, yeah, anyway, all that aside, Adam Dewey, watching him stride out like that, I know fans have been really good at rapping, and being happy for Adam Dewey, but, man, until you've been in a NRL system and seen what injuries can do to your mental health, and especially a guy like Adam Dewey, who has been at a club that has struggled so long and been the one thing I'm sure all Tigers fans agree on, through the darkest periods, he was the one that was always having a crack.
Yep, 100%, always having a crack. Gave us a little bit of excitement. Some great, numbers that you just had there as well, Timmy. In a team that was not doing much, he always found a way to kind of get a few points on the board, and just seems like one of the good guys. He's extended as well, so he's going to hang around for the next little while too.
Has he really?
Yeah.
He's just 1 year.
Yep.
Okay.
Which suggests to me that he's backing himself to go play mad and get a big contract.
And do
else.
so at centre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other thing as well, like, credit to him, because you're right, like years ago, the entire side was built around him.
Yeah.
The entire thing, and now he's had to take a backward step to a heap of young guys and play centre, and I'm confident he's going to do well there in the next
I think
year
he will
so.
too. And I
Didn't he
think
sign to be a fullback from memory?
signed from the Rabbitohs, and I think they tried him at fullback, and he just didn't have the legs for it, if I recall correctly. I remember speaking to him about it. What I do know is his preferred position is 6.
Yeah.
And look, he could be like a Jack Whiten, where like he's always
very
in
Jack Whiten.
Yeah, like he's always in this weird plays really well at centre, but a specific team could really suit him at 6.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Bunnies right now. Like he's perfect for them at 6 right now, Jackie White. He's exactly what they need.
His first year at the Tigers, he was fullback basically the whole year, and then next year he switched between 5'8" and centre.
Yeah. But yeah, this was the Dewey show for me. That runaway where he puts the hand up. What an incredible moment. The grit, the determination. You're off contract, 3rd ACL. You battle all the way back. And I tell you what, for him to be in that good a nick, his first game back in NRL, and obviously he played one game in New South Wales Cup before, just shows you how dedicated he was to his rehab, to him getting, because to get that kind of match fitness in your second game back in in footy, but first NRL game back, in 14 months, you have had to have put yourself through absolute hell in the rehab room. So a massive congratulations to Dewey.
Just had a look at that season 2 that he had the 9 tries. And, obviously the try assist, that's a very good whack, obviously, no doubt about it. But he played 20 games, scored 9 tries, scored 5 of them in the 6 games he played centre as well. Worth noting.
Noted, Roo. Noted. Okay. Other guys have played really well. I know he doesn't have the stats, but I thought, like, just some of the runs that Stefano had, like, there was intent. I want to make an impact. So I like that from Stefano. He didn't have the same stats as last week, but just it looks like he's taken on a lot of responsibility.
What about, who was it that he trampled and then...
Chris, and then grabbed him, pulled him down with him.
Pulled him along for the ride.
Jesus. Far out. I didn't agree to this. So I like that. I like that aggression from him. I like him taking on the role of being the dominant in that pack. 2 guys, though, Api Coruscant and Galvin. Lockie Galvin, to come back and play like that after all the noise, he has the rest with his hand. Like, that's what you want to see. You don't want to see him, shy away from the big moments or even shy away from the way he was playing. And it would have been understandable. We're talking about an 18-year-old kid who's just had his first experience of getting smashed in the papers, rightly or wrongly, whether you agree or disagree. Doesn't change the fact that he got smashed in the papers and he comes out and puts a performance on like that. What do you reckon?
And the great thing about it was as well, we're pretty famous at not starting very well or coming out of half-time very well. And he scored the first try of the game. And he finished off that amazing play just about off the kickoff in the second half as well. He's so good. Me and Timmy both sat each other and looked at each other a few times yesterday. He's just a freak, and he was so good yesterday. He was in just about everything. Kicking game, everything as well was pretty good. I think he's just so good, and it's great that he's said he's going to stay for the next couple of years as well.
Just watching him yesterday, he just looked so comfortable. Granted, the entire game went the Tigers' way, but at no point did he look even slightly overwhelmed. He looked so right at home for an 18-year-old Campbelltown boy playing back in Seatown, and he was so impressive, wasn't he? And that try to start the second half in their first set, you're coming out there and you're going, all right, Tigers love getting out to a lead, can fold, when the pressure gets put on them. To come out and they just went wide with structure, a lot like we say Manly often do. They went wide and they used the ball out of nowhere, but it was very structured. They had line runners and they just skinned us. That try was remarkable, and they just put us straight back on the back foot. We would have had a massive rev up from Ricky at half time, and they just went, nah.
Just deflated you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what you saw yesterday, you saw the first half against the Dragons, where they do spin it early, and they just go... But they made sure that they were safe passes, because even in that try, there was no pass outside of when they got to the pointy end of the pole play. But there was no early pass that was really risky. It was just really... And so I know that Benji Marshall got some criticism because he was saying, boys, I want you to spin it, but also I want you to play discipline. You can do both. You can spin it in it. Actually, the Melbourne Storm do it quite a lot. They'll go pass and shift onto an edge early in the set and then just stay down that channel. You can do it. It's just about when you decide to pass it. Are you going deep into the line and tipping on, or are you going early pass, and then just because it's early in the tackle set, the defence hasn't rushed up, and you just take the space that's in front of you. And that's what I liked about the Tigers. They did spread it and they threw it around, but they did it in a disciplined way.
There's a couple of plays from him. Obviously, the first try he scored, I just loved that after that half break. A lot of young halves would try and count numbers and look up. Gavin just went, no. Give me the ball, just let me run. And you know what I love too? We've been not critical of him, but we've questioned before, even when it came to Origin, with Appy, how sometimes he can screw around with the ball to play the ball. He obviously demanded that ball that Appy just went, I don't have to overthink anything here. Just get this kid the ball and let him go. And the kick that he put in for Appy, it was like time froze. Yeah. He had so much time.
Well, what do you say about all the great players? They look like they have time.
Everyone just froze on the field around him in that moment.
Yeah. So good. I want to give some of the younger fellas a shout out for the Tigers because I thought they were phenomenal. So I think the winger, Luke Laulili.
Yep.
Just the confidence to basically look up, scoot from dummy half, and just go, you know what? I'm just going to... a lot of rookies would have said, stuff that. I'm passing this ball. I don't want to be the one that gets caught. We've just made a break. If I don't score this try, I'm getting absolutely annihilated. He just said, boom, scoot, and just scored. And I think that hopefully Benji can continue to instill this confidence in these young fellas to take the moments when they come. Because I think the biggest issue with the Tigers for the last few years is almost like they're scarred and they don't know how to win and take moments because they're so used to the moments not working for them.
Yep. Well, he's not one of those guys who doesn't know much about winning because he's come through that same side that Lockie Galvin came through that went undefeated a couple of years ago. I think we spoke about him, actually, Luke Laulili, in the season preview show as a potential CBA.
Okay.
There's a few raps on him as like a little bit of a Brian To'o-style winger, real hard runner.
Yep.
And we saw a little bit of that yesterday when he did score that try. But he's definitely one to watch. He showed some great signs yesterday, I think, for the future.
This is a good time to bring up. So I saw this tweet from TigerCast. 10 of the 18 players from yesterday's side came from the Tigers' pathways, and 7 of them are 22 years and younger.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I was about
pretty
to
good
say
signs.
the West side that won the Harold Matts in 2022 is not that long ago. From the starting 13, 6 of them have already played first grade.
Wow.
That's great for the Tigers.
Yeah.
That's a great sign. Like, yeah, okay, you're probably not going to make the 8 this year, but the more runs you get on the ball with this playing group, like, you just don't know what could happen. You really don't.
I think I saw a stat yesterday too that he's the youngest player to play for the West Tigers since Chris Lawrence in 05.
No way. The great Chris Lawrence. Mate, remember when he burst onto the scene? Unbelievable.
He got 3 or 4 on debut, wasn't it?
Well, he almost made his debut in the 05 grand final.
And didn't he made like Australia or Origin in his first or second year or something?
Debuted while at school
Yeah, wow.
at Greg's.
So I just want to run this. This is how impressive this win was. So the backline for the Raiders is Rapana, Kotrick, Tomoko, Chris, Savage against Laulili, Dewey, Naden, Fatape, and Bulla. Like, I reckon on paper the Raiders is probably a better backline. Mm-hmm. Then you get into the halves. You know, Strange and Galvin. Like, I reckon Galvin's had just a little bit of a better year, but Strange has been pretty bloody good. So let's just say Galvin just a little bit. Caesar versus Weeks, obviously Caesar has a better resume. You get into the forwards though. Papali'i versus Utu Ikamanu. You know, like Papali'i is still one of the best forwards in the competition. You got Coruscant versus Wolford, obviously Coruscant. Then you got Bolle versus Tarpane. Like, you know, Bolle is a rookie, not even close to Tarpane yet. Hudson Young versus Porter. You know, Porter is, like, he's been around for quite a while. Has only debuted, I think, last week or was this week. So, you know, first getting in. Elliot Whitehead versus Fainu. You know, most people would pick Whitehead first, even though Fainu's been a good rookie. Mm-hmm. And then you got Smithies versus Matamua. So you'd pick Smithies. So, like, you go through this on paper, there's only probably 3 or 4 Tigers players that you would go out and out on paper is a better player. And yet this is what the Tigers managed to do to the Raiders. Now, it's probably a mixture of the Raiders playing poorly, but also the Tigers doing well. So I think it's probably not going to get the appreciation it deserves, but it's a bloody big win for the club. It's a bloody big win for the club.
Absolutely. Just want to give Appy Coruscant a rap as well. He obviously scored that try off the kick. Had one taken off him, the flick pass from Fainu. So he was always near enough to the play. But just that one where Rapana got hit, dropped the ball, Appy picked it up, and without even looking through a flick pass back the other way, I think it might have been, was it Buller who...
But it was Buller, but the two of them made the tackle before. So Buller as well made the tackle, got back up and put himself in a position to get that. It all happened in a split second. It was incredible.
I was saying to Timmy at the time, is there a player in the comp that can sum things up as quickly as what's in front of him as Coruscant? I would say probably not.
Mate, he is just like... the way he's... Like, Cody Walker is really good on the edges of, like, just picking things apart and spacing and timing. But Coruscant... It's in these, like, tight areas, like in the ruck, where he will just make these, like, immediate, as you just said, like, immediate decisions, and they're always the right, or at least 9 times out of 10, they're the right decision. Like, he's an absolute treat to watch. And I know we've always said that he'd be hard to play with as a 9 because he's so crafty around the ruck. I think with more time, they'll find the balance. The balance will come.
Well, you can even just see the forward pack. They're starting to get him now.
They're starting to understand. And with him and Luai together... I'm excited. I'm excited for next year, much more than I was maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago, because not only have Tigers obviously improved, but Luai has shown that he can be a 7. Like, I don't have... Look, when someone said that he was signed as a 7, I was like, I just probably don't agree with it. I just don't think that he can be a 7. Now I'm like, no, I agree with it. I think it's the right call. I'll
tell you what, his name's come up a few times throughout this chat, but Samuel Fainu, mate, Stephen Crichton would be my buy of the year. This kid will go close to second or third, I reckon. He's incredible.
He's devastating, isn't he? Talk about blokes, he could have had another, at least one more try assist. It might have been two that were like a whisker. He threw one for Dewey. I think it was Rapana, like miraculously held him up. Fainu was an absolute handful, like he's every week, but he was devastating. He runs a great line, strong as an ox. He's a good footballer.
And if I'm the Tigers watching Isaiah Papali'i go to Penrith, I'm going, okay, we've got a kid that can come in and replace him immediately.
It's
that's
probably
Vicky they can spend somewhere else.
Probably part of the reason they did do that, because Papali'i is on a massive wicket, and they've said, look, mate, you can look elsewhere. They've got Fainu coming through. I tell you what, tell me another rookie edge back rower that comes in and rips and tears like he's a grown man already, the way Fainu has. Like, forwards don't usually do that. You know, I understand we've got our exceptions with your Tinos, with your Payne Hasses, but on the edge, like we just finished speaking about how Tallis Duncan, I know Tallis Duncan's more of a middle forward, but you know, even him struggling to get time, Fainu, he's not only done his job on the edge, he's impacting games on the edge.
He's 20.
20 years old. Mate, if I'm Tigers, I'm locking him up.
And
do not let him.
Is Isaiah Papali'i, is he back this year or is he...
I think it's about round 22 or something.
Yeah.
I think I'd be putting him in the middle and giving Fainu as much time as I can on the edge.
Well, so you've got the other edge, you've got Porter. So Bateman was playing 13.
I like Papa, Edge, Bateman, Lock.
Yeah, I reckon you put Bateman at 13. And you go... You know what else I really like? I know he missed a few tackles, but I like Bolle through the middle with his explosive footwork. I think that the speed of play the ball with guys like Bolle and Stefano, like I know I was speaking about it quite a lot, so Tigers fans probably get frustrated, but I just don't think you need Stefano and Clemmer on at the same time. I just think they're too big. You need guys like Bolle to partner him, or Alex Toll, whichever one, that are just a bit more mobile. And I think Bolle might be the perfect fit for it, because I know they tried him at 13 for a period there, but I just don't know whether I know not every 13's a link man or whatever, but sometimes even players get caught up with the 13 on their back. If you say to Bolle, look, the 10's on the back of your shirt, like all I need you to do is run hard and straight for 20-minute stints, just simplify it, and I think he can do a job. And I just think Stefano and Clemmer are too similar and big to have on at the same time. So you either put Clemmer on the bench and you bring him on for a bit of impact, or you put Stefano, but I don't think you should start with either one. Not to suggest... Like, Clemmer does his job and he does it well each week, but it's more just a style with the way the game is being played at the moment.
They've got Fainu till 27.
27, and it would be unders too. Holy.
Raiders last week, Roosters this week, mate. How you feeling?
Good. Bring it on, Hainsey in the chook pen. You're going down.
Okay, on to the Raiders. Okay, so the Raiders, obviously, extremely disappointing afternoon. We went through their roster. That is not a roster that should be losing like that to the Tigers. They now sit 10th, but that is equal points to 6th. So they're essentially still within the 8 striking distance. So there's not too much panic there. My big concern is I feel like they might be running out of puff. I feel like that maybe they not necessarily peaked too early, but they may have put a lot of emphasis in dominating the start of the season and doing really well. And I'm a bit concerned that their ability to... It's really hard once you lose momentum to wrangle it back in your favour in a season. And they just look to me like nowhere near the same energy as they had maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago. As I said, I'm a bit worried about their energy levels to a degree, or just their impact that they used to have in the forward where they used to dominate. The fact that they got dominated by a pack that is nowhere near like as good as them on paper is a bit concerning. I understand they made heaps of errors, but I just don't think they've been anywhere near the same side as they were in the first, say, 8 rounds or so. Timmy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're sort of starting to regress to where I thought they might have been earlier in the year. And as you said, they came out of the blocks and exploded and justified all the critics and all the negativity that was spoken about around them. But honestly, in this game, I just thought they lacked class. Like, it was a game that, if we're serious about being a top 8 side, we couldn't afford to win. And I don't mean to take anything away from the Tigers because they were outstanding in this game, but we look second tier compared to them. Like, we completed at 75%, not the best, but not the worst. We won the penalty count 7-2. We missed less tackles than them. All of this, and essentially we scored 1 try, a Danny Levi barge over from dummy half, and then 3 tries where we just went nuts chasing points that all came when there was a man in the bin. So we didn't really look like scoring points outside of that. And unfortunately, 2 weeks in a row where I thought the Raiders had have on paper the dominant forward pack against the Cowboys as well, and we were belted in both of them off the park. And hard to make any excuses for it. I just think we're lacking the class in the roster, and I think it comes back to what I've said all year: the spine. I just don't think we have enough points in us.
I cut Ricky Stewart a lot of slack in regards to, obviously you started off really well, but I do think there is a genuine plan of this next batch of players where he is really eyeing Saunders coming in, Chevy Stewart coming in, and I think that at the moment, look, I know Ricky Stewart would never publicly say, look, this is more of a gap year where I'm just trying to get through it. Me personally, though, if I'm looking at the roster, I see this year for the Raiders as a gap year. I see as them going, look, we're going to cop a bit of pain for this year, and we're going to go all the way in our younger roster, and it's going to be actually, your 2026 and 7 is when we're trying to aim to strike. Because otherwise, it just doesn't really make sense to not have an out-and-out 7 in your roster to back up Fogarty.
Mate, we're absolutely in a transition period, and year one of it, because moving forward, our spine's going to look something probably like Chevy Stewart. You'll have Jamal at 7. You might have Saunders in the halves. Saunders or Sanders? I keep getting that confused.
Sanders
in the
I keep getting it wrong.
Yeah,
Sanders,
Colonel Sanders. Sanders in the halves. You probably have Strange at centre, like everyone fit and good to go. We are building. Whitehead's leaving at the end of the year. Kotrick might be leaving at the end of the year by the sounds of it. Papali'i, back end of his career. Rapana, back end of his career. So you have to sit back and remember that. We are transitioning, but because of how good of the footy we played earlier in the year, we were okay, but we were getting results. You sort of have that belief of, well, are we, or are we still finals contenders? We are transitioning.
I will say, I think he's a battler. I think he works his ass off. Morgan Smithy's at 13 for me. I just don't know if he offers enough in attack to justify big minutes.
I had the exact same thing, Kempy.
I love him, but it's just got to be honest.
I love him because he's a battler and he gets every bit out of his talent that he can, but he doesn't add any punch to the line or the go forward. Not that being a middle forward is all about offloads and tackle breaks, but 14 games this year, he's busted 8 tackles. He's had 3 offloads. I'm guessing he hasn't scored a try, and I'm guessing he probably hasn't had a try assist. I've got his stats. He hasn't. He's great for clean-up work. He hits hard in D, but he offers so little in attack, unfortunately.
I think you missed the Big Red.
Big Red, I know he played in this World Cup last week, but he needs to come back in and start at lock for us. And then you look at Smithies and go, what's he going to offer coming off the bench?
Yeah, it's tough because he's worked his ass off and he doesn't play poorly.
Never.
Could you find an edge? I know you've got Hosking that could potentially play there, but it just puts him in a bit of a tough spot because Corey Horsburgh, in my opinion, offers what he does in defence, but also has that edge in attack.
Yeah, so Corey, he played last week and killed it in New South Wales Cup. By the looks of it, he didn't play Cup on the weekend. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm just not sure where you put him. What do you reckon?
We'll say this, and I don't disagree with you on Smithies, but fuck, the couple of games he didn't play this year, God, you looked ordinary in those games.
Because he's great for that clean-up work around the middle, and as I said, he makes his tackles, he rarely misses one. Yeah. He's a goer, and he just offers nothing in attack.
Well, it's hard to, because you've already got a guy like Elliot Whitehead on an edge that can do that kind of. I know he's not in the middle, but he's that kind of rough, clean up stuff. You got guys like Tarpany in the middle. He's not a kind of forward that's just good in attack. He does enough really good defense as well. You know what I'm saying? Usually you would get a battler 13 when you're trying to compensate for poor defenders elsewhere in your pack. Yeah. And I just don't think you have poor defenders in your pack. I think they're all bloody good in attack and defence. And so with Smithies, I just wonder where you fit him long term with Horsburgh being fit.
He's averaging 64 minutes per game as a middle forward, and he's averaging.
And you know what? Those minutes are down because whenever you get blown out, Ricky Stewart doesn't put him back on the field.
Yeah, and he's averaging 97 run metres per game, which again, it's not terrible, but for a 65-minute forward, less than 100 metres, in the middle.
I think also, I hate to harp on it, but just around the 9, Danny Levi, he's had a good year for him, but I just don't know, if he was an out-and-out one of the best defensive 9s in the competition, I could understand, or if he's an out-and-out just a freaking attack, I just don't know. He's another guy where does he offer enough in attack or defence?
Danny Levi's been good for what was expected of Danny Levi. I think he's actually offered a bit in attack. His support play is tremendous. Every time we make a bust, Danny Levi's the first bloke there. But when you look at him as, I know he actually came off the bench in this one, but as a starting number 9 in the NRL compared to the rest of the competition, and I know not everyone in the game can have an elite number 9, but it's not like we've got stars at 1, 6 or 7, so like we save a bit of cash with a bit of a lower tier number 9.
Yeah, I just think that, and they've got a young fella, didn't they? You said the other day, Guru?
Yeah, Owen Paddy, who I'm not sure if he's fallen off the side of the earth, but I haven't seen him. He must be. I assume he must be injured. But he's one that I really
No, he's been playing cup. Because remember last year you said he didn't play flag and he dropped out. He's been playing cup, so he played 27 minutes off the bench on the weekend.
Some positives. That Hudson Young try, I know he ended up passing it. Not try, but nearly a try. Just when he just decided to go, you know what, I'm going to nearly try to score here. He just goes bang, left foot, fan right foot. Jeez, his ability to just turn it on when he needs to, it's incredible. I know he passed it in the end. He could have fallen over the line. But yeah, just one of those weeks where the one strength that you have, which is aggression and the forward pack, or just aggression across the board, I just felt you really lacked. And to me, it looks like a team that is just fatigued, tired. I don't see them, this kind of group of players under Ricky Stewart, I don't see them coming out and doing that just because they couldn't be fucked. The only time I see guys that, you know, Ricky Stewart only signs a certain type of player. The reason why I would see this happening is because they are just flat from a big start to the season.
Even on Morgan Smithy, I'm like, I don't think he's done anything less than what he's really signed to do. Come in and be a battler and work his ass off.
Which he's done really well. Yeah.
He hasn't done anything wrong. It's just...
And you can afford, as I said, you can afford to have guys like that. It all really relies on your spine, to be honest. A lot of these conversations we're having would be different if you had...
Morgan Smithy's starting 13 at the Melbourne Storm with their spark and points in their spine. Sweet, he does a perfect job, but doesn't kind of.
But with Sanders arriving, Fogarty back from injury, Chevy Stewart at 1, things are different.
Yeah.
Things are very different. So hopefully they can turn it around, but very disappointing afternoon for the Raiders. Alrighty, let's get into it, shall we? Time to face the music with a bit of tips for the next round and a bit of Origin chat. We're going to do the second hour of Origin chat now.
We'll whiz through the maybe the next round of footy, and then we can spend a little bit more time on the Origin. All right, so Friday night, Dogs $2.39 against the Sharks, $1.58. Line is 4.5.
Sharks.
Sharks.
Yep. Sharks as well. Saturday, Warriors $2.26 host the Broncos, $1.64. Line is 2.5.
Broncos.
Do you think the Broncos boys back up 3 days after in NZ? Origin boys?
Just touch and go, depending how they're feeling, really. Probably not.
Big ask going in New
Probably
Zealand,
not. I guess Kevy, you know what, Kevy is usually pretty pro player like that, so probably not. And I think Kevy's probably just trusting that we've got the troops to win enough games to be in the 8 without them there on the weekend.
Just the Warriors are pretty short at 226. I thought they'd be...
Yeah. I mean, the Broncos did, without their... Because I think he did actually, like last year, they rested all their players. The Broncos did beat them, even though Reynolds played. That's the difference. Reynolds played last year.
With SJ potentially out too. Broncos for me.
I feel crook saying this, but I'm going to back the Bronx to rest a few, and I'm going to go Wars to win.
I'm with you, Timmy. I'm backing Warriors for an upset.
And weirdly, I also agree with you.
Love that.
I agree with you, Guru. I'm like, 226 still seems massive unders, but yeah, we'll go it.
I like that.
I'm going Broncos, Wars with the plus in that one. Knights, $1.87, host the Eels, $1.97. It's half a point. Give me a big win. Give me a 1 to 12 or 13 plus.
Oh, man, this is a tough one. Moses, does he back up?
Jeez.
I think he has to back up, doesn't he?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Eels. I did it.
Yeah, but what, 1 to 12 or?
Oh, sorry, Eels 1 to 12.
Knights 1 to 12.
Sounds like Will Price might be an outside chance to come in here. A few whispers in the halves. Eels 1 to 12.
I will go Knights 1 to 12. This is actually the worst attack in the Knights versus the worst defence against with the Eels. But I'm going Knights 1 to 12.
Huge.
Worst attack, worst.
I'm going to get Eels 13 plus.
Ooh,
And
Wow.
I'm big, eh?
Storm $1.17, Raiders $5.10, 14.5 is the
That's
line.
juicy.
In Melbourne.
Mate, Raiders love upsetting after a terrible performance, and they love upsetting the Storm. I'm going Storm with Raiders with the start,
Yep.
though.
Yeah, Storm Raiders.
Storm Raiders.
Storm Raiders.
Storm Raiders for me as well. Dragons, this one's at Cogra, $1.96. Dolphins, $1.88. It's half a point again. Give me a 1 to 12 or a 13 plus.
Oh.
Dolphins 1 to 12.
Yeah, Finn 1 to 12.
Dolphins 1 to 12.
Dolphins 1 to 12.
I'm going Dragons 1 to 12 because of how well Hunt and Lomax backed up from the first Origin game.
Okay.
All right, Panthers, $1.26. North Queensland, $3.85. 11.5 is the line in this one at Penrith.
Oh, man, depends what. Okay, Panthers, Cowboys to cover.
What's the start?
11.5.
Yeah, Penrith Cows.
So hard with the restings here, but I'll go Panthers.
Panthers for me too.
I'm going to go Panthers, Cowboys. And the headline game, 6:15 Sunday, Roosters, $1.17 versus the Tigers, $5.10. 15.5 is the line.
Oh.
Roosters and Tigers to cover. I'll be safe.
I'll go Roosters.
Roosters.
Oh,
Roosters Tigers.
yeah, Roosters, Tigers. 15.5. I mean, please.
Okay, Origin.
Yeah, all right, let's do Origin. All right, so I want from you in this game a player of the match, your margin, and obviously your winners. A reminder, you can multi your player of the match in your same game multi with Sportsbet. So give that a go for game 2. It's a pick'em, $1.92 for each side in this one.
I think by kickoff, New South Wales will be the favourites. I'm going, obviously, Queensland to win 24-12. Tommy Dearden, the end of the match.
I'm going to go New South Wales 26 to 12.
Oh, that was going to be mine. That was literally going to be mine.
Sure it was, buddy. What else do I need? MOM?
Yep.
Give me... I'll go Trell.
Blues 22-14 and Dylan Edwards.
Blues 26-12, Dylan Edwards.
Go Queensland 16-14. There's just something about Trell in the player of the match market, $14. I know he's playing for the Blues, but I can't walk past that. I'm putting him in for the player of the match. Women's Origin as well. We've got the decider on Thursday night. We've got Queensland $2.15, New South Wales $1.71, and a player of the match.
Player of the match, I think Surgis.
Yep.
But I think Queensland win by, it's going to be 12-10 Queensland.
I'm going to go New South Wales. They'll win this one by 4. And give me the hooker, Higgins. POM.
Blues 16-10, Emma Tonegado.
I'll go Blues 22-8. I'll go Izzy Kelly.
I will have Queensland 1 to 12 and Ali Brigginshaw at $10, my player of the match.
AB.
Bring go.
Yep.
Alrighty, that is Face the Music, brought to you by Sportsbet. Don't forget you can multi your man of the match or your player of the match now.
Yep.
How good. And as usual, I'll make sure to give SC Playbook a follow. Give Rugby League Guru a subscription. Give
Give me something.
give me something. I was about to say get them on side. A follow was also
Follow
on
Get 'em on
Apple,
side as well.
Spotify. Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And
See
as
you
usual,
there on the show tomorrow.
I will be there on the show tomorrow. As usual, we'll go fuck ourselves. Thank you.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.